Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 339 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka and the old Barstool Sports podcast family. What is up, boys? Everybody back on home turf once again. A little rest and relaxation after a rowdy week of live casts and game watches and whatnot and from Long Island and Boston. So hopefully you boys got a little wind in your sails. Grinelli, how you doing, buddy, back home?
I'm doing well. Tons of merchandise dropping in the Barstool Sports store over the next couple weeks, and we got a goalie on the podcast this week, so it's about time we're really getting in depth with the goalies and stuff. So I'm excited.
-1.
Ooh, no spoiler alert. On who, me or G?
Pete's up the middle. send the second line out. Send out Marshall.
Hey, coach is great and tough tonight, G.
I better be on my toes here. I got to be ready for this face-off here at middle ice. We're down 1-0.
You better be on point, Paul. Biz nasty Bissonette. It was fun having a nice week with you in Boston last week.
Boys, it was awesome. I'll tell you what, though. I drank a ton of alcohol when I was there. I think Boston kind of sucks you into that drinking culture. And, of course, with all the sports associated, I get back. I think I'm going to have a nice, relaxing weekend. Well, guess what? The UFC reached out through Instagram. And they send me a message. The fights were going down in Glendale. I've never been to a UFC fight. So they reached out. They say, hey, would you like to come with a few friends? And at first I was like, oh, God, I'm coming off this heavy trip. But, I was like, I've never experienced it. Then I found out a bunch of the Coyotes guys were going. They got a party bus going down. So I said, I'll jump on board. And, oh, my goodness, what a time. Boys, I had a blast there. I know that some of this UFC stuff doesn't sit well with people because of how gory it is. And yes, the reason that all these TikTok stars and YouTubers have picked the boxing route is because when you step in that octagon, you can see anything. And I get the first fight there of when they finally turned it on to the pay-per-view, the one guy snapped the guy's arm. And when he snapped the guy's arm, the other guy was still trying to fight and punch him. And it was clearly just hanging on by a thread. And of course, everyone's oohing and awing, but they keep showing the replays and over and over and over. And I tell you what, this guy who got his arm snapped, he stuck around to watch the other guy get his arm raised. He was an absolute champ, but it is modern day gladiatorism. Is that a word? Gladiatorism? Help me out.
I don't think it is in that case.
No, Russell Crowe made it a word after Gladiator. He goes, hey, forever and moving forward, gladiatorism is a word.
Oscars, we're going to invent the word.
This was like the modern day version of him coming out. Remember that before he got to the actual Coliseum, he was in the little one when he does the double sword cross and legit just chops the guy with the buffalo head off.
Mm-hmm.
That was
like the East Coast League of the gladiatorism.
That's what they used to call Rome with.
And there was an NHL scout there who discovered him and brought him to the show. So he got a nice little fat raise. But I tell you what, it was an awesome time. They got the beats coming with the intros. Then that was the first fight of the pay-per-view side. They had Nate Diaz third in line. And this guy, that the fans were going absolutely crazy for him. He's getting cut up in the ring and he's still taunting the guy. And
he lives for getting beat up, Biz.
He lives for getting so the press conference the day before, he's just gassing weed, but then they must have told him, hey, you can't do it on the screen. So he's doing it under the table and all the smoke's coming out from, he is just an absolute character. So he was the third fight in line and the crowd was partly just as much entertaining than what was going on in the octagon. Because, I'm sure you can imagine the type of characters you see at one of these events, but it was a blast, buddy. And I would recommend it to anyone. And there was no tomfoolery in the crowd. There was no fights breaking out in the crowd. You've been seeing a lot of this lately. You're even seeing it in the NBA right now. That Suns guy, by the way, shout out the Suns. He got in a scrap with the guy from the Nuggets. Then he ended up knocking him out.
One of the best videos in the history of the internet, I thought.
Yeah,
well, the guy other than Dater right now, he's on top. He's numero.
Dude, that guy's saying Suns in four after pumping two kids' eyes shut, holding them and just uppercut feeding them and then for them to sweep is just an all-time video.
This guy you just described, he's the new guy on with the ocean spray on the surfboard right now. Because even
Booker, all over the place.
Oh, Booker reached out to him on Twitter. He said, somebody get me this guy's name. I bet he was going to be sitting front row at the Suns the rest of the run. He's going to have the splinters in his toes, just like Comrie.
That guy was born to play for the same East Coast Hockey League team for 11 years and then just take over the town. His showmanship, he was laughing as the fight began, and then he's smiling as he's just feeding them the uppercuts as he remembered he had his chains. Just an all-time video. I love that you went to those fights. It is, and like you say, like people like they don't like how gory it is. Well, don't watch. I mean, it is exciting. It is definitely on the edge of your seat. And you mentioned the TikTok YouTubers. Let's not forget they don't fuck with the octagon. No. Those little guys know. They're doing the boxing. I saw the TikTok guy get his wheels punched in.
Bryce Hall got punched
by
in,
the YouTube guy. But they don't mess with the octagon because, like you said, those guys are machines. And girls. Imagine one of those girls just beating the absolute shit out of you. You'd have no idea they're 5'4". Whoa. They would put me in an arm bar and knock me sideways off the temple in 0.3 seconds.
Hey, I'll tell you what, there's about 7 fan bases now that would actually pay to get that done. And we'll talk about it, maybe get you in a rough and rowdy against one of these girls. But as I was walking, 6 fan bases, my apologies. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you. I'm saying collective. Well, no, I'm just saying I think that.
One.
What do you mean? Okay.
You know what you're talking. Were you saying?
Well, you said that one of these girls could do that to you, and I said there's about 6 or 7 fan bases that would actually collectively pay to see that. So what? It was
okay.
a church. It was a church.
Fair enough.
Hey, so am I minus
what do you
one
think,
or not?
What do you think?
When you have to explain your chirp, it's not really a good chirp.
I think
31 fan bases, actually 32 now would pay for it, even the ones who like wit.
Hey, yeah, exactly. But love me or hate me, I'm bringing ass to the seats. That's what it's all about. You almost want it split down the middle. I can hopefully get 15 to really hate me. I think that I think, Biz, if you want to go that route, we can go right into the Islanders. I don't care. Or are we going Vegas? I'll fight on any oncomers when I talk about NHL hockey.
You do put me in a mental pretzel when we get into the shouting matches, much like you do with Dave Portnoy. But going back to the fights, there was another one that Lamar Odom fought this Carter brother.
Aaron Carter.
It's kind of a sad
was like
one,
the saddest. That was the saddest of them all. That was sad.
Because you got to know, like, those guys, they got the drugs, the issues, mental. Like, it doesn't. They have everything going, so they have no money. They're doing that for money. It's like,
I bet we could sell more pay-per-views of me having to go against ad reads for 5 rounds, where they progressively get harder and harder.
No, the font gets a little smaller each one. The words get a little longer.
That's what actually screws me, is having RA. I need you to teach me how to change the font to the size that you have via text on your phone. Have you seen RA's?
Yeah, for people who don't know, it's 2 letters per screen.
I got a sore wrist from scrolling because the fucking letters are so big. Yeah, I even got new glasses, but yeah, I just like a bigger font. I don't know what it is, but yeah, back to that Denver fan who caught a beat, and he deserved it, man. He was leaving, and he went back and he tried to sucker the kid from a higher elevation, and he got pumped so bad. And the best was he was holding him. It was almost like a little brother. He's looking at the friend. He goes, "Huh? Your buddy's gonna kept getting up. Yeah, kept getting up. Yeah, get beaten up. I can't fucking talk." And he's dribbling him in the face. Yeah, -1. That's typical. But like his buddy
we're
did nothing to
boys. Let's change the goalie.
For yourself, you 3.
His buddy did absolutely nothing. Like, he was just sitting there watching him get pumped again. So yeah, when a guy acts like an asshole, especially with his 1996 George Clooney cut, and gets his face dribbled in like that, it's easy to decide who everyone's behind.
So
he was nodding at the camera. All right, he was kind of like, watch this, as he put his watch off or something, and then before he suckered him, and it just went the exact opposite. So
this is one of the arguments going on right now. Well, not really an argument. One of the discussions is the higher ground when getting in a fight at a sporting event. It is. What would you say the advantage is?
I got a great higher ground story.
Can't wait.
A great higher ground story. I can't say who it is, but anyone close to me or anyone who ever wants to ask me when we meet, I'll tell you who it is. But this guy went to a concert, U2, back in the day, and he was with his wife and another couple, and the other couple, he really couldn't stand the guy. But he's like, I'm going to U2. The wives are friends. So this guy brings 2 binoculars, right? Because they're up top, and he brings 2 sets of binoculars. And he's like, I'm going to make sure that they're going to have one. I'm going to bring them one. Hopefully they bring them for themselves, but I'm going to bring them one, but I'm going to have the other one, right? Fair enough. Well, the girls are holding the binoculars, and the other guy that he's not a huge fan of wants the binoculars. Hey, let me see the binoculars. No, I'm using them. Hey, let me see. No, I'm using them. Finally, the guy who doesn't really like goes up and he's now below him, right? He's got the low ground. He goes up and he pushes the fucking binoculars into the guy's face.
Oh,
right? And it hurts, right? Boom, right near on your eye socket.
It's gutless.
Well, you know what higher ground guy did? Higher ground guy looked and he realized that the chest of the other guy he really couldn't stand was just about knee high. And he just brought his foot back and booted him square in the chest. And lower ground guy rolled down 10 flights at Foxborough Stadium watching you two. So if you want to talk about the battle between higher ground and lower ground, forever you want the higher ground. I'm not kidding you.
Was it the elevation?
Hey, so not to bring it too far, but like what makes me nervous about that is like, what if the guy keeps rolling down, he goes over the edge, then you're really.
I don't even think there was an edge at this stadium.
Okay.
It was a dump RA, right?
Oh, the old Foxborough. Yeah, it was like a glorified, not even a glorified high school stadium. It was
So higher ground, you should always be like on the upper hand. If you get
or just use the kick to the chest move,
or just do like a fall pull, like if you're on the lower level, grab the guy and like pull him toward you and kind of twist, and hopefully you fucking chuck him down a couple rows. But you know, if there's people there, you don't want to fuck them up too. That's why you avoid all that stupid shit in the first place.
I will say there has been way too many fights at sporting events lately. It's not. This is crazy.
Yeah,
Is this because of the reintroduction?
Odd. Yeah, I think people just maybe haven't been out for a while and act like assholes. Like I saw on Twitter earlier, they had a land a plane elsewhere because people are fighting over the fucking armrest. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's an elbow rest. Like, I mean, so that means of two adults, assuming one of them didn't have the common sense enough, like, all right, you know what, I don't have to like, and they got in a fight that enough that the plane either had to be diverted or they had to stop the plane from taking off to get them off the plane.
I blame the airlines. They're making the seats too small. They're like doing a millimeter each year, so we're not noticing it. It's just such an integration.
I'll tell you Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go. I was done.
I think that are there rumblings that I don't know if this would ever happen, and it should never happen, but sports games and these fights they're going to end up hearing like no booze being sold at these games. People are going to start wanting. Now, I don't think it would ever happen.
I'd riot harder than they did for the Super League.
What?
I would riot harder with the fans more than they did for the soccer Super League.
You want to see fans revolt? You try telling a bunch of season ticket holders to the Green Bay Packers that they can't buy cold beer.
I'll be making those little bomb things that you throw with Pink Whitney bottles. What do they call them when you make a homemade one?
Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, there you go. There's a new shot mixture for the Pink Whitney beverage.
Whitney.
We'll make an RTD ready to drink. To call it the Mott. Make it
Molotov cocktail.
We could go full Monster Energy.
Detonate.
Make it 6.9% alcohol. Like just
nice.
We should even try throwing caffeine in it too. Just make it a full blown.
Shot of it's like power. A four loco with a key bump.
Actually, I heard a good one after the live streams. Slop Todd. I'd never heard that before. Ari was a slop Todd after Game 3 or whatever it was. I never heard that one before. No, I was going to say, Biz, the flight to JFK and back. It's actually a nice little flight from Boston to New York. It's only 35 minutes. You're in the air. You got a real nice view of Long Island and Cape Cod and Rhode Island and stuff. It's a pretty cool flight. Plus, you can see the skyline of Manhattan when you landed and taken off as well.
Listen, I know we've dumped a lot on the Islanders, but yeah, I've heard from a lot of people. It's a great area. It's bumping right now, man, especially after they got Game 1. Now, we've kind of fallen off the rails quite a bit here. Where are we going to start? Well,
just to reiterate what G said, we do have a goalie coming on. We have 14-year pro goaltender Mike McKenna. Like Biz, where he was a suitcase. I mean, I don't like to call him a journeyman. I mean, I know that's probably what he was, but he played for a bunch of different minor league teams all over North America, had a great career, the winningest U.S.-born goalie in AHL history. And he had a lot of great stories from his adventures on the road, and he works for the Vegas Golden Knights doing analysis now, so we had him on for that as well. So good stuff coming a little later.
We'll have to get him on again down the road because we tried to divvy it up between just his knowledge of the whole goaltending situation because, he's played in a period of time where the position has continued to revolutionize and it's happening at such a rapid pace. So he helps break down a little bit of that. I hope to get him on again to talk more about it because, we don't really know goaltending. We kind of just throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks. And also I played with him for a little bit, just such a positive guy. He was always great to the media and he was just always so insightful. So I know you guys are going to love the interview and I tell you what, he's a goalie. He is a full-fledged goalie, folks.
Marches to the beat of his own drum.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are officially in the semis in 3 of the 4 teams that were here last year, Tampa Bay, the Islanders, and Vegas. all back this year. It's the first time that 3 of the Final Four are back in the same consecutive postseason since 91-92, which the Bruins, Oilers, and Penguins all did it. Of course, it was Chicago, Minnesota was the 4th team. But the Worm was there last year. He's there this year with Montreal once again. Montreal-Vegas is the first ever playoff meeting between the stripper capitals of North America, as I called it on Twitter. Las Vegas and Montreal. Jake Evans could be available at some point in the semis. Carey Price against Marc-Andre Fleury. Just some absolute great storylines here. It's just Price's 3rd semifinals. He was there in 2010. They're in 2014, but of course he got hurt in game 1. Marc-Andre versus Montreal. Max Pacioretty versus the team he was on for 10 years. Lots of good stuff going on. And just to get you up to speed, this game is being played in about, 3 or 4 hours. We're recording right now the first portion of the show. We're going to jump in later after the game to get you guys up to speed on that. But I want to hear what you guys had to say going into the series.
Yeah, of course, what we thought about the first game, but going into it, I was going to ask you, Whit, do you think that there's any added pressure for Marc-Andre Fleury, knowing that, where he's from and the, the mecca of the hockey world, at least one of them, all eyes are going to be on him? You think that mounts a little bit more pressure, or you think just water off a duck's back for Marc-Andre Fleury?
Hard to say. I would say that he's been through so much in his career, like losing the starting job and battling through things that he never imagined he'd really go through when he's the first overall pick. So I think he's been through so much that he's just ready to play and doesn't matter. It definitely helps that the crowd is what are they allowing? A couple thousand in them?
Hey, I might be dead wrong. I heard that they're actually going to go full capacity starting as of Tuesday in the province of Quebec. So
they did this for the Habs. Is this true?
Listen,
I said the Canadians are so important that could just make them break. COVID's over, like every other state down here.
And it's Trudeau's team, so it's just, hey, turn the switch.
They're going to have a packed barn this series?
Do not quote me on that. I heard that from someone. I could be dead wrong, and I hope I am, so we just wasted, and I'm now -2, and we're down 4 fucking zip. Change the goalie.
I wouldn't be that surprised.
I rolled an ankle.
But I was going to say, if it's not full, it changes a little bit, the whole vibe in that arena. But the way Price is playing, and actually you mentioned Fleury, the 2003 draft, the best draft of all time, business draft, it's got Fleury, Weber, Stahl, Perry in this series. Still going. 18 years later. Guys turning 36, 37. It's just awesome to see. And Price is a serious, what would I use as a word? Panic attack for Vegas Golden Knights fans. Now, we're going to talk, like you guys mentioned, we're going to talk after the game. Who knows how game 1 goes. But this is like what R.A. says when he talks about Montreal and their history and how they end up winning in weird ways. And it's like shaping up as one of those seasons. I'm on Vegas, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as a series as everyone's mentioning.
I think that's obviously their biggest chance of winning. That's kind of why I mentioned the goaltending situation off the hop. Mind you, Vegas, through parts of the season, especially as playing against certain teams. And we saw it a little bit even against Minnesota, who, let's not forget, they went 7 games with Minnesota. They went more the distance than Colorado ended up going, which kind of is a tip of the cap to Vegas too, because they can beat you any way you want to play. But there has been periods of time where playing against very defensively structured team this year, Vegas has struggled to score goals. I'm not going to put too much stock into game 1, just like I'm not the other series. But I do feel that Montreal can give them way more of a problem than even Colorado did, just simply based off the fact that they are such a rhythm defensively. They are not allowing a lot of high danger shots. And let's remember here, even I would say in that last game, like Colorado smoked them as far as like chances and shots generated. I think while Grubauer was in net, Vegas only had 21 shots on net. So they're going to have to find a way to generate like they were against a team who's really not opening things up much. Now, saying that, their back end showed me a lot in the second round against Colorado. The forward group is, McKenna is going to get to it just about the depth. I think he said that they've had 20 guys step into the lineup so far in this playoffs, and 21 have a point. So that just shows you the depth, and they're able to really filter anyone in on that fourth line. Now, shifting back towards Montreal, they kind of just got this special magic brewing. I think that they're going to need contributions even more so than they haven't gotten from certain guys. I think Josh Anderson needs to show face a little more. I think Gallagher was really good towards the end of that second round, but even he needs to gear it to the next level, and they need to keep getting exactly what they've been getting from everybody else. And we're going to also see how much this Petrie loss in game 1 is going to affect them. Because that's
the one we talked about.
That's the tough one right there. So I know I've rambled on a little bit, but I'm very interested to see how this series plays out. I'm confident in Montreal. Was I trolling when I said Montreal in 4? Yeah, a little bit. But
so what's your pick?
Montreal. I'll stick with Montreal.
Yeah, you said it. About the sweatsuit.
Is it weird just hopping on? Like now you're a Leafs fan, or are you just so above and beyond? Like,
no. I think it's kind of one. It's fun to hop from bandwagon to bandwagon because once the team loses, you're like, "Fuck you." I had my guy. I was cheering for you.
It's way harder going against a team that keeps winning.
But I think you should definitely have more leniency on me because it is Canada's team. That's a fact. Justin Trudeau.
Now Niagara Falls is on the bandwagon too, selling out Buffalo and the rest of Ontario.
Which, going back to the stripper capital, I think Niagara Falls needs honorable mention. The Sundowner, which still has very loose restrictions on what you can get away with. So, and the other one is Tampa, was really harping at you.
A lot of people chimed in. And I mean, I kind of dawned on me like, oh yeah, Montreal. Obviously, I fell in love the first time I went to a strip joint with 17 in Montreal, and you're drinking fuzzy navels back in the day because I wasn't much of a beer guy then, which was peach schnapps and orange juice wit. Going to a strip joint at 17, and then Vegas. Honestly, I'm not even that big of a strip joint guy in Vegas. I'd say probably been there 3 or 4 times because it's a pain in the ass to get to some of them. You spend so much dough, and it's like not even worth it. As far as bang for your buck and value, Montreal strip joints are premier, the best in North America, as far as I'm concerned. All due respect to Mexico, I've never been to one there.
The reason
is handing the receipts to Barstool. Wait,
he's like
2 fuzzy navels.
They do have a buffet. They do have a buffet.
Phenomenal buffet too at the Shapery. Shout out.
The only thing you're eating there is the roast beef, buddy.
Oh yeah. Oh shit! All right,
Vegas probably will lose though, because if they do win, we'll be out there for probably games 1 and 2, then a watch party for game 3, and it would be a scene and a half with some special guests and some crazy action.
I'm gonna need a body.
Everyone wants it, right? So we know we're not getting it. That's one reason Montreal's going to win this series, is because of how much
Montreal Islanders
for us if Vegas does.
I'm gonna need a body double out there, like a dictator from South America, just to fill in on me for certain nights. A week in Vegas, man, during the Stanley Cup at my age.
What's the other tournament called?
Well, RA, you don't have to go as hard as you go, though.
Yeah, I kind of do, though.
That's a great rebuttal.
Hey, when you have complaints during the shows in Vegas, right there, we got the time stamp.
Grinelli's like my manager. He gets me all ripped up. He tells me I got to put a show on that night.
Ray just heard Slop Tart for the first time. He's going to be hearing a lot if we end up getting to Vegas.
An Islanders fan called me
have a Slop Tart tattoo by the second night.
Yeah. Tramp stamp. Would you get the Slop Tart tramp stamp? That would be sacrificial lamb as opposed to me chopping off my foreskin for our fan base.
All right. Well, actually, we got to revisit Vegas, Colorado before we get to the Islanders, because the after the game's festivities were hysterical. But first, we do want to let you know that today's athletes deserve more than just your grandfather's tired, old, salty sports drink, which is full of artificial dyes. Enter Body Armor. This stuff right here, made with potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and B vitamins, plus no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Body Armor sports drink provides hard work and hydration and more, plus it tastes great. I'm like Violet Beauregard this week. I'm all over the blue raspberry. Stuff is delicious. And right now, I'm also digging the orange mango, berry lemonade, and watermelon strawberry. Body Armor helps today's athletes stay on top of their game. Body Armor, available for purchase in-store and on Amazon right now. Learn more at drinkbodyarmor.com. Once again, it's hot all over this country right now. Get hydrated with Body Armor. All right, moving right along. Vegas, Colorado. Yeah, you mentioned that, Biz. Vegas finished off the job, 6-3 victory. They won the series 4-2. I thought it was a tough game for Philip Grubauer. I know Colorado had a rough end into the playoffs last year. They were on, I think, their 3rd or 4th goalie. They had their number one this time, and he had a rough night. 5 goals on 22 shots, a couple of real duds, a couple of major hits. Nichushkin got buried by Braden McNabb. Nate Dogg got crushed by Alex Tuck. A very physical game. But the talk was after the game. I know you got this queued up. Nathan MacKinnon did his press conference. He obviously didn't want to be there, but they got to do this stuff. And none of the questions were particularly good. And not that I'm fucking famous for this stuff, but it was like, that's a rough one. And then Adrian Data, who used to work for the Denver Post, I believe he works for Colorado Hockey now. He had a question for the Nate Dog. Nate,
I know you're a gamer and all this, and I'm just thinking maybe out loud as far as in your shoes right now. It's like, all right, we've done all the thinking we can do, we've done all the game planning we can do. Maybe just fuck it. We'll just go in next year and just not think anymore and just win this thing when we don't think so much. Am I on the right path at all with this? Like maybe you just guys think a little too much.
No.
Last one here for Nathan. Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
One of the best.
I mean, I'm still in shock we let off with Dater and we didn't break down the game 6 at all, but I guess, hey, you can't bury the lead, right, RA? Hey, guys, first off the hop, have I asked some bad questions, some of which we've probably had to delete from the podcast? They were so bad. I mean, we all know. So I would never be one to criticize somebody for allowing it to get off the rails like that, but that's got to be the GOAT of all GOAT post-game questions. Like he just – and then to boot with the aftermath, RA, which it didn't end there. It didn't stop.
No,
it kept going. It was the gift that kept on giving.
Pete Blackburn, a buddy on Twitter, kind of, made light of it, as did other people, including ourselves. And he kind of got in a tete-a-tete with Pete, and he brought, and I have no problem with Adrian, just for the record. I've talked to him in DMs a bunch, but Pete was like, chirp back at him. He gave the old, you've never been on the beat, you've never been in the locker room. And as a guy who's been in the locker room and has been a blogger, that's like the worst chirp, because it doesn't matter. Like if you can write about the game. I don't think,
did he ask the question in the locker room?
No, he was basically pointing out you've never been in the locker room, you've never been a beat guy. Just the stuff that newspaper guys always say to bloggers. Like
I know, but like the point is, what does that matter?
In other words, you don't have the credibility that I have because I've been in the locker rooms. I've been a beat guy for years. It's a beat guy complex to it. Like trust me, I've been on them and I've been off them. It didn't enhance or help my writing really much.
I'd like to
hand quotes from guys like you all the time. No disrespect.
I'd like to also defend all the reporters that hop on those Zoom calls after games. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. And
it's brutal.
And most of the time, like these guys aren't giving very colorful answers. And as reporters, they're trying to, getting as much out of them as possible. So, hey, man, that was. Hey,
well, it was funny because the question or whatever that was, it was bad enough. But then when he's like, you want to say fuck it?
Well, that's
Nate Dog's face.
I think he said he was trying to talk like hockey guys talk. I mean, I guess that's what if you're going for it worked. But McKinnon's reaction,
his face timeline. You don't even need to listen. It was sound on.
Yeah, it was.
I think somebody's like, what? Like.
And I don't care. I don't care that he swore. It's like people, that wasn't professional, and you can argue with that or not. I don't care. But that's what it was. It wasn't. He's like, fuck it. It was like, fuck it. Like he got like aggressive when he said fuck it, and then you could see Nate's face contort a little bit. And yeah, man, I've been there too. I've asked bad questions. We've all done it, but it was just the whole like the time it took place, Nate's reaction, and just the staggered question. I asked longer questions than anybody, and even I was like, Jesus, man. And then it was just like. Even the question itself was kind of awkward. Like, can you just put your feelings aside? It's like, well, no, you're playing for the fucking Stanley Cup. You need to rely on your emotion here. So, hey, it's a do-over. We're not picking on.
But here's the thing. Normally I get uncomfortable watching or seeing that type of stuff. I actually kind of was like feeling where he was coming from a little bit. And you could kind of like sense the buildup of even him, like, being like, man, maybe this is the answer. Maybe I found
like saying, fuck it,
man. I got the answer for you, Nate Dog. And I think he's got it. And I think we got to print the shirts. We got to get it. Maybe that's their motto next playoffs going in. They got the gear in the room. Kind of when Florida hopped on the what do they have, like Spacey? I mean, obviously they're not on that train anymore. That had to get put to the wayside. All right.
What else did I have to say about that whole
series
experience? Oh no, the bad questions press conferences. Then somebody sent me one where a golf writer, I don't know who it was, is asking Mark Leishman. He basically asked him, like, do you know what you don't know? And Leishman's reaction is, he's like, wait, do I know what I don't know? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, no.
But hey, so
it's
I
an
watched
awesome clip.
I watched that.
To you, Grinelli.
There's got to be a few other ones that stick up to you.
Well, it just hit me, Biz. Today is the 10th anniversary of my press conference after the Boston Bruins won the Stanley Cup in Vancouver.
And when you said Brian McGonigal, Barstool Sports,
back home,
what do you have for the fans back home?
We got to play it. We got to play it.
Grilly wouldn't be doing his job if he didn't play it at this point.
Questions for Tim or Patrice? Please address your question.
Tim, Brian McGonigal, Barstool Sports back home. Do you have a message for the fans who've been waiting a long time for this?
You've been waiting a long time, but you got it. You wanted it, you got it. We're bringing it home.
How did you feel after you got the question out? Were you like, yes, it wasn't too long. I got to pump my own tires, and he gave me a thoughtful answer.
I had no idea it was on TV whatsoever, because this was one of the first years where they herded all the media down to the ice so they can do all their post-game interviews, which is actually a brilliant idea by the NHL. Then you're not crowding the locker room as much. So I was down there, and I stayed on the ice as long as I could, because, hell, when are you ever going to be able to celebrate on the ice when your team wins the cup? And I'll never forget, Greg Campbell was the last guy off the ice. Him and his dad and his mom were still out there like, yes, our conspiracy worked. We got it done. And so I walk off the ice, right, and I see Tim Thomas, and he's still in uniform, and he's got his game T-shirt on still, the one he wore under his jersey. I'm like, where's he going? And someone handed him, like, the Stanley Cup champion shirt. He put that on, handed the other one off, and I see him go in this, like, small room. And I walk in, I was like, oh shit, this is like the Conn Smythe presser, you know? And I contrary to popular belief, Biz, I did have a press pass. I was allowed to be there. So I walked in, and then they were just like, anyone want to ask a question? And I was like, fuck it, man. I was very much the conduit between, like, the Bruins fans for Barstool and, like, the Bruins at the time. And I think I still am to some degree, obviously. But at the time, I was like the spokesman almost. And I say, anything you want to say back home? I was like, hey, say it through me, kind of. And he gave the quote that fucking ended up on let off Sports Center the next day. It was all over the place. It was a money quote. I mean, it was you could say it was a dumb question, but the fucking quote was aces. So it was awesome, man.
Hey, no such thing. Just ask Dater, who's being everybody's
exactly,
talking about. If anything, all the players on the ice should be thanking him, because all the focus went to him as opposed to what happened in Game 6. Grubauer should be sending him a fucking Amazon gift
I thought
card.
you might take a victory lap, but that was classy of you to not mention that you kind of had questioned that the whole time. And he's not the reason they lost the series, but he had a tough night.
Obviously his numbers throughout the last 4 games, he allowed 16 goals. You said he had 22 shots. I thought he'd only faced 21 in Game 6. I think that what made it worse was the fact it was probably the one game that he wasn't there that they might have even deserved to win. I would say, just based off how they generated, you could just as easily blame the back end. And that's why I'm not going to pound on Grubauer. I think that when looking through the overalls, the big four to me were, I think that the D got exposed, especially in like net front battles. They were just oversized. I mean, I was wondering why Byram wasn't in. He's not a very big guy either. And I don't know if there was an answer that came out as to why he didn't get inserted. People on Twitter were mentioning because they wanted Timmins and Nemeth for the penalty kill. Well, how many penalties do they take? They don't take many. In the last 2 games, they took 1 in each game. It's like I think the one of them had 1 minute of penalty killing. So if that's the answer to why he wasn't in, well, no. And then maybe they just didn't want him to be exposed. The Kadri situation was, to me, would you say the biggest factor in the fact that this at least didn't even get the set?
It changes their team. It changes their entire line he's playing on. And what is it now? His last 3 postseasons, or
2 of the last 3?
3 of the last 4.
2 of the last 3.
2 of the last 3 postseasons. He's suspended as the team loses.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fucking tough. I know, like, at some point, I don't know, maybe you just got to reel it in come playoffs, bro. I think that to look back on that series, though, you can't even say if he was playing, they would have won. Vegas just outclassed them. The way those first 2 games went, well, the second game Vegas played unreal, deserved to win. But being down 2-0, everyone was like, I don't know. And Vegas just rolled them 4 straight. You know, the city of Denver, in like a 15-day span, lost 8 straight playoff games with the Habs and the Nuggets just getting rolled 4 straight by man. Vegas and
that's Suns. Why Dater asked that question. He probably hasn't got any sleep.
Suns in 4. So I don't know, man. It was kind of the second period of Game 6 they had gotten out to a lead. Vegas kept coming back, but it's 3-3. And then under 30 seconds left, I think Belmar had the puck, didn't get it out, and like Pietrangelo scores, who's been sick. I think he's got points in 4 straight. He's like plus 4 or 5
Plus,
in those games.
He did a shirtless interview between periods too. That's a bomb.
That's cocky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
then
just
drop on the table at that point, Biz, right?
And then after game 6,
never do that.
Yeah, well,
no shit.
For what reason?
I would see reporters coming over with cameras, be like, "Let me put my shirt on." Oh,
yeah.
You got the spray painted 6-pack on.
Bugsy would do his with all his tats. He's like, "Why don't you take your shirt off, Wish? Fuck you."
The one thing I wanted to chime in on, Pete DeBoer said he thought he was the best player in the series on either team. Petro. And
he was a beast.
Buddy, even when he would make a mistake, puck over the glass in game 6, I think they ended up burying on it. I think he scored, 10 minutes later? And listen, for a guy who knows he's going to get back on the ice just because he's playing with that confidence, sure. But knowing that that's such an important part in a game, to not get rattled by that and not skip a beat, that's just mental strength that's you earn that over time. And I agree with him. I thought overall the Vegas back end, that Martinez pickup, and at the time, I don't know how much game he had left in LA, and you don't know how much that was bringing, but to give up 2 second rounders and not retain any salary, and maybe everybody thought it was a risky move at the time, but he was awesome. Then you saw McNabb, who you talk about the physicality of that Vegas back end, that hit he put. Who did he hit?
Nichushkin.
Dude, that was a crushing blow.
Yeah. And going back to the Kadri thing, the reason I think it plays such a big factor is when the Stone line was just eating clock against the McKinnon line and just playing even. And we see the numbers based on how much they were matched up against each other on the road as opposed to home. And it's evident what was happening. Who was the line to get it done in games 3 and 4? It was the Marchessault line. It was the second line. I think in game 4, Marchessault had the hat trick, and I think it was Carlson and Marchessault with a goal each to get it to overtime in game 3.
Nasty.
Yeah, and that's where they got chewed up. So I don't want to lay it on anyone in particular, because I think that it should be balanced out as far as quote unquote blame as to how Colorado didn't get it done. Mind you, I still think they have an enormous window is between missing Kadri for his suspension, the back end really letting them down and having some massive breakdowns. And when those breakdowns came, and as we saw in game 6, it seemed like every single one of them was in the back of the net. They couldn't get that big save when they needed it. And not to shit on Grubauer, the one where Petro scored, he way over commits on the shot. He takes himself way out of position. Like, yeah, Petro should not be left alone, but he was fucking in the corner. So I think they'll have some time to figure it out, and I know that they have some decisions to make. And sorry for being so long-winded about it, RA.
That's all right, buddy. Say what you got to say. Another move, and I sent this over the text thread. They had traded Ian Cole earlier this season to Minnesota for Greg Patterin, and then they flipped Patterin to Minnesota with a pick for Dubnyk. They did need the help goaltender-wise. They didn't end up needing Dubnyk. They sure as hell probably could have used Ian Cole a couple games back there, considering they were burying their bottom pair. And Cole still got some, physicality, meanness to his game, which really would have served them well this series.
I could not have agreed more.
Yeah, good call. The other shocking thing, all right, and you mentioned it, was Nate Dogg saw Tuck coming too and braced himself, and he still trucked him. So you could tell, like, once he gets flying through the neutral zone, Tuck seems as fast as anyone in the series he'll be playing in now or throughout this entire playoff. So he's a truck. They are very deep. I'm excited to see this series because the crowd's going to be nuts. And then who knows if we got the Biz Nasty breaking news that is it the Molson Center? What is that arena now?
I think it's the Bell Center.
Bell Center.
When was the -7? When was it the Molson Center?
Dude, when I was there and I asked for a Labatt when I was there, she's like, "Sir, this is the Molson Center." I was like, "Oh, sorry, I ordered the wrong beer." The other video too, Biz, the Vegas fans still on the Colorado fan flag. It's like, leave the guy alone, man. He's visiting from out of town. Like, your team's beating them. They're going to get eliminated. You got to steal the guy's flag and make him have to get up and go chase his flag down. Those guys were way too old for that shit. And even if they were 22, they're idiots for doing it. Like, dude, your fucking team's winning. Just leave the fucking visiting fans alone.
That's a couple fans being donkeys. That's not the entire.
But is Tampa kicking out more fans?
No, that I saw that in the text thread as well.
That's Islander scumbags spreading rumors.
Yeah, it was Islanders fan. They've been doing this all year. They don't let people stand in certain places to watch the warm-ups because what it is in Tampa Stadium, the first two rows are considered club seats for whatever fucking reason. So when people sit there, they don't want people standing around, when they sit down, their dicks over their shoulders or whatever. So they've been doing this all year. It's not new. I don't think it's I think it's kind of stupid personally. It's warm-ups. It's a half hour before the game. Let people stand there, watch their team warm up. But I guess Tampa's been doing this all year, so they're just keeping with what they've been doing, however lame it may be. So no, they're not picking on Islanders fans. You are.
Just to quickly go back to the wrapping up Colorado, I don't know if we're going to talk about where they go from here.
No, absolutely.
But Bednar after the game, after game 6, I believe he said he wanted to take full accountability. He said, don't blame any of those guys. This one's on me. Going back to, I was trolling a little bit as far as him using the calling out the guys card. I thought if he felt that the team was kind of needed something at that time, they were already up to, if you try to get them ramped up and call out the big dogs before you go into the other barn before game 3 and 4, you probably think you're going to be able to muster up a split. And then they didn't. So I think that at that point in time, like if I was a coach, I might have even pulled that card. Would you have kind of called them out media-wise, Whit? Like just to rev them up or no?
I hated getting called out in the media, although that was the entire team, right? I don't think he made any.
He didn't name anybody. It was a general, you guys sucked.
Okay, so I thought it was
different.
He said mainly the big. I thought he said mainly the big guys or something of that nature. So maybe I'm mistaken, but either way, calling out the squad at that point in time, I thought that it was might have been something I would have done.
Yeah, let me clarify. He did mention the top lines. What I meant is he didn't name names. He didn't name specific players.
Okay,
he did allude to their top players getting outplayed by the other team's top
I think
players.
he kind of knew maybe a little.
So I did paraphrase properly. No, you're good. It's more of a +1 for me. I got one back for the boys.
Right,
plus minus thing.
So his wit to rush it.
Here's what?
His wit to rush the puck right here. So flip the coin, whether it's a +1 or -1.
Oh, yeah, right. It's like my first pass percentage, 83%. I'm getting the thing right. I'm not taking a minus, dude. Come on. That was only when I turned it over, but that was more below the goal line. What else do we have on this series?
Basically just what's going forward for the Habs. They have a lot of big unrestricted free agents that are going to be coming up in July. Landeskog, Sad, P.E. Bellemare, Soderberg, Patrick Nemeth. They have no goalie signed for next year except for 2 guys on entry-level deals. Grubauer, unrestricted. Dubnyk, unrestricted. Johansson, unrestricted, which is Group 6, but it's still unrestricted. Cale Makar, restricted free agent. I don't imagine he's going anywhere. Here's the other thing, too. They have just 3 picks in the draft, a first, a third, and the 7th. They've given up quite a bit the last couple of years, chasing a cup. They give up a 2nd for Taves, a 4th for Nemesnikov, a 5th for Dubnyk, a 6th for Johansson, and then they got Dubnyk 3 weeks later after Johansson, and neither one of them are signed for next year. So you kind of like, I don't know, a lot of picks right there for a couple of goalies that aren't coming back. So, yeah, man, the window's still open, but they're going to have to bring some of these guys back if they want to keep it going. And do they want to go forward with Grubauer? Probably, but he had a rough last game for them to make them think twice about it.
Yeah, and I think he's an unrestricted free agent. And we have McKenna who's coming on talking about how good of a skater he is. He said he's one of the best in the league. So who knows? Maybe they think he's the guy and they give him another chance. And I got rambling on. I'm doing that quite a bit this episode, Whit, about the Bednar situation. Given the core group of this team, he's a young coach. I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's a great coach. Let's say they have another 2nd round exit next year. Do they think about trying to hand the reins over to somebody else who might be able to maybe figure it out? I don't know. Like how big of a shelf life does a guy have with this type of core group? Because you were in Pittsburgh and you saw, like, it's just like they were trying to figure it out fairly quick.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Or something where if they get off to a really slow start next season, but it's hard because they've been so good the past 2 years. Like, no, and guys like playing for them. I don't think that discussion has even been remotely brought up. But you're just getting ahead of it and saying that it always ends up coming up, it seems, right? If there's some more failure, how many coaches failed in Washington, right? It was like, I think in the end, though, that group and where they'll go, I think they're going to win a Stanley Cup. I do believe in like that entire team. And when Kadri's playing, it's a different story. But they got to get goaltending figured out. Look at the four teams right now. Look at how solid they are in that position. You don't get there without just great goaltending. And he was great in the regular season, but he certainly wasn't what they needed in the second round.
And the final quote here from Nate: "I'm going into my 9th year and haven't won shit." So he's obviously not too happy.
I saw a meme. It was like McDavid, Matthews, and McKinnon's descriptions of their first few years, and then what Crosby had in his first 4 years, I think, and just like reminder, folks.
Doesn't come easy.
As if I don't do it enough. The greatness did.
All right. Well, before we
one of them anyway.
Jump over to the other.
Is that how you sound? Make a sound of a goat?
Goat?
Yeah.
Well, I said one of them.
A goat's kind of like a sheep in some ways, right? Like it's not quite a bat. Yeah, a little.
You are the warthog.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, you've chased some down in your warthog days.
But maybe a sheep's a little higher pitched. I don't know. I'll have to check my animal
Now do
voices.
Sean Connery.
oh, Jesus, biz nasty. Don't make me do that again.
Leprechaun Sean Connery.
Yeah. I get put on the spot. See, I don't get put on the spot. No, it's all good. It's also all good, Biz? Labatt. At Labatt, they don't care if you're good or bad at most things in life. They only care if you're good at beer, being yourself, and not pretending to be someone you're not. And if you are, they're good with you. After all, if you choose Labatt Blue Light, you're good at the most important thing there is, beer. We already know you're good at watching hockey, so be good at beer too with a pristine Canadian Pilsner, Labatt Blue Light. We're going to be working with Labatt Blue all year, and we have some exciting content coming up, so pick up a pack and enjoy while you're watching the playoffs. And now we're going to send it over to New York Islanders, Tampa Bay Lightning. A rematch from last year's semifinals, which was the East last year. There's no conferences this year, but they are playing for the Prince of Wales trophy. I don't think anybody gives two shits about that, but the league did tweet that out. Did you know that, Biz?
I knew that they're not going to hand out the trophies this year.
Well, they get their name and they're giving them. I don't think I actually physically hand them out, but teams are winning them. Like, so whoever wins the Islanders Tampa is going to win the Prince of Wales, and whoever wins Vegas-Montreal is going to win the Campbell Bowl. And it's the first time that the Canadians have ever played for the Campbell Bowl, because they've always been on the East-centric side of things, which is where the Prince of Wales is traditionally gone.
So they're playing for they're all playing for two trophies that most of the time nobody touches.
Exactly. Nobody gives a fuck, but they tweeted it out for posterity. I figured I'd mention it, but either way, game one in a battle of Russian goaltenders, Volley was a bit better than Vasi, and the Isles held on for a 2-1 win to take a 1-0 series lead in the Cup semis. The first time Tampa Bay has trailed all playoffs, and of course, teams that take a 1-0 lead have a .687 winning percentage and best of sevens going forward. John Cooper said after the game, our work ethic was there, our compete was there, our minds weren't there. The Islanders got a pair of power plays. Joey did nothing with them, but they got clutch goal scoring. Who else? Matty Barzal once again. They got a 2-0 lead. It looked all over. The Islanders Tampa Bay made it close at the end. They pulled the goalie, got a power play, but that wasn't not enough. Islanders game one. I'm not surprised. Biz, what do you got?
You want me to start it off? Whit, I was I said it earlier in the episode. I didn't want to put too much stock into it because I'm more interested to see how Tampa responds, because Cooper said we sat down, we watched a lot of video. We think we figured a lot of things out based on how they were structurally. And in Islanders fashion, they did a great job. And in the midst of the game, the Bill Belichick special didn't come out. The in-game adjustments were not there. They couldn't figure it out. But game two, I think that I read something that the Tampa Bay Lightning in recent memory have won 9 series when losing the first game.
They were down 1-0 in the Cup Finals and down 1-0 to the Bruins in the second round last year.
So but, you I think you said percentage wise that a lot of teams end up losing the series if they lose the first game.
I think I said game 5.
Oh, was it game 5?
But I think it's around 680. I think it's a 660 to 680 winning percentage for teams winning game 1. But game 5 would be much higher. And that's the one I was talking about. So good call.
And I mean, I'm not going to dunk on you, Whit, but we talk about the depth in Pajot. And I think that Cooper even had some quotes here. I'm going to read them off to you. Molly Walker. She's a beat reporter. Lightning coach John Cooper points out that John Gabriel Peugeot was one of the best players on the Senators, and now he's in the third line role with the Isles. It just shows how deep they are. So that's John Cooper. I respect his opinion on a lot of things. So we talked
Stanley
about
Cup
the depth. Stanley Cup champ. So last episode, I think you said that I was what were the words you used, Grinelli?
He said it was the top 3 dumbest things you've said in the podcast history.
Okay. So I'm just going to say, okay, fine. I'm still a dummy. But if the depth keeps playing a role in the series the way it has started, I would maybe like an apology towards the end of the round. That's all I'm saying.
I'm a man of honor and integrity, and you learn to live and be responsible with things you've done and said. I will be there to do that if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup. This rivalry with this fan base is so not overblown now. It's at such another level that I understand why everyone hates me. But when you talk about the depth, we weren't just talking about the bottom 2 lines. I believe you were saying you liked the Islanders' overall team depth more than Tampa. So right away, I hopped down your throat. Last episode, I was a little testy. I think we were yelling at each other, everyone at one point, or I was yelling at everyone, but you know how it goes. We were just
yelling back at you.
I think it was your frustration at the fact that I was on a different bandwagon.
I think I was just like, you were so down on the Islanders, and now all of a sudden you're such a coward to these fans. Now, let me tell you, these fans.
You think Frankie poisoned me?
These fans, for the most part, I think you run into Mets, Jets, Islanders. Now, Frank the Tank, for example, is Mets, but then he's got a different hockey team and a different football team. So he's a nutcase Met guy. But in all the famous people that I know of, like KFC, if we call him famous, he's a Jets, Mets, Islanders guy. So these people are such losers, these fan bases. I mean, look at those teams. So when you see like how much these people have just lost and lost and lost, I understand their passion. And I also got to bring up a tweet. I sent a tweet out. I was just talking about what time does the Cup parade start? Because I thought after the second round, I mean, if Frankie Borelli ran over to the restaurant, he jumped on the table. Like if you just showed me the clips of the fan base after the second round, I would have thought like, oh, they won the Cup. Now, like I said, they're such losers, these fans. They have to get excited because they never win anything. But they got excited, and I just sent out a tweet because when somebody responded to when's the Cup parade, they said, yeah, the way their fans are acting, I'm very surprised they didn't do the Cup parade last night. Quiz 79. And I said, it's really incredible, isn't it? Islanders true diehard fans remember the 4 in the row. They are sick to their stomach and at the level of excitement for a round 2 win by the current majority of the fan base. Al Arbor didn't even crack a smile after winning the second round. If you can't figure out that I'm just like a little bit trolling on a Saturday afternoon or whenever the hell, I think it was Thursday. But let's be honest here. You got to know I'm just trolling. Of course the fan base is going to get excited. They're losers. All they do is lose America's the past team, 30 years.
It's America's team right now.
So this team, I'll be honest, they make me nervous. They really do. I believe, I don't know why it sticks out to me in this office. I said to RA, you really think they could win the Cup? We have to find the clip. And you go, yes.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
and I put my money where my mouth is.
This guy's kind of always like, you always have, well, granted, you bet 20 of that's 32 teams in the year, but you have a lot of teams in the finals.
You respected my insight enough to join forces with me.
No, you had a beauty pick this weekend that we're going to talk about.
Tampa, I don't know if it was Tampa played like their worst possible game or the real scary thought of, no, this is just what the Islanders make teams look like. And Varlamov was sick, and Tampa actually came out hot. First 10 minutes, they were flying. I think from 12 minutes left in the first to the end of the period, the Islanders outshot them 15-2. So Varlamov makes some big saves, and all of a sudden they do their thing. And, yeah, it's a hell of a team. But I don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup. If you think I'm going to fucking apologize for anything right now, I'm going down with this thing until the Borelli's restaurant blows up with excitement.
Oh, so, good save. Holy shit. Off the glass and out.
Wow. No, you guys know. I also want to say, Frankie and I, people think we hate each other. I like the guy. I don't want his team to win. I want him to lose in Game 7 of the Cup final OT. That would be, can you imagine, guys?
Oh,
Can you imagine?
Kid. He would have a heart attack.
But listen, if the Islanders do win the cup, I'm going to go be a waiter 2 nights in a row at Borelli's.
Wow, we need this blood contract
goodness.
signed in blood right now.
2 nights in a row,
And we'll put calamari on the menu.
At Borelli's.
And we'll put calamari on the menu.
And no, you can have Kunitz specials because in the end, I think, and now there's going to be a ton of people who can't stand me and reminding me of maybe others that I can't think of. But right now, there's 2 men that can say they own me. Tim Jackman. He dummied me in an NHL game after 20 years of chasing me down. He made the most ridiculous photo of myself. I got no head, getting jersey and embarrassed. He owns me physically, mentally. Chris Kunitz. I get traded for him. He won 17 Stanley Cups after, and it's just been a legendary Pittsburgh Penguin. Those 2 men. If the Islanders win the Stanley Cup, I don't know. What's their fan base?
We're going to Borelli's.
Millions?
We're all going to Borelli's.
Millions of people own me.
We're gonna work with like he worked a waiter when he signed his big contract.
I will be owned by forever if the Islanders get it done, but it won't happen, and it's going to be glorious.
Hey, do you get to keep your tips?
No.
Goes to the waiting staff. That's a classy gesture.
And I should have to, like, if anyone's shoes come untied that night, I have to tie their shoes.
Okay, let's pump the brakes here, buddy.
Yeah, I take that one back.
Cut that out.
My back.
G.
I can't handle bending over.
And last thing I'll say about the Islanders, to make matters even worse, we were talking about the New York Ambiens and how boring they are.
Yeah, you said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where is your spine? Let's get to you.
Jellyfish.
Dude, you fucking dogged the Islanders, and now all of a sudden, like, it's just like, stick to your guns for once.
Like me?
Fair enough.
You can't just go to every team. You got to battle these fans.
All right. I'm a softie, man. I'm Canadian. That's why I'm on the Canadian ship. I'm getting pressured, man. I'm getting DMs. Trudeau has my parents. Trudeau has my fucking parents held hostage, Whit.
What?
Trudeau's got my parents held hostage. I have to root for the Canadians. But I just thought it was fitting that not only did I say that they're now the highest scoring team in all playoffs. So that sucked. That sucked too.
But
go Habs.
Back to the series, man. That second goal by Vasilevsky was a tough one.
Horrible.
I think he's maybe given up 2 bad goals all playoffs, but that was just an inopportune time for it to happen, and that was the difference in the game, man.
And Stamkos got benched. If you saw on the Barzal goal, he just threw it cross ice right in front of the bench, picked off.
And then he went for a bad
Bailey.
change.
And he went for a bad change. Not that he would have caught Barzal, but just the looks of it. And he sat there, I think, the rest of that period. They made it interesting. Point had another sick goal. And then like a couple chances at that last 15 seconds. But you got to think they'll have way more going. And Cooper to say that's it's interesting. I don't know like what if I looked at that game, I don't coach, but I would have no idea like how to break down the Islanders. They just do this to everyone.
Yeah, it's almost like the way Tampa looked the other day was the way Carolina looked versus Tampa in game 1 of that series. Like, yes, that was good all year, but confused in that game.
So this could be another coach card being played. So we've seen the ref call out. We've seen the player call out. Now this is
they don't figure it out.
This is I'm going to head to video and solve you mental torpedo card. Now we're going to even know even more about this whole series in game 2. We're going to know if Trotz is actually the mastermind that he is, or Cooper is going to retaliate with his Pokemon card, offense card.
Barzal has taken a step in these last like 5 games, maybe 6 games. He looks sick. I mean, he is creating every single shift. He stops on a dime. He's so fast. Him and Point kind of remind me of each other, but that was a nice goal.
The second goal on Vasilevsky was by Ryan Pulock. He had 2 goals all year. He's got 4 in the postseason thus far, and 3 of those are game winners. So he's been bringing it lately. He's the 2 P brothers, man, Pulock and Pellick. We've been talking about them for years on the show. I don't know if you remember, but we started talking about them a long time before everybody else did.
Yeah, they are
pretty great pair
nice.
back there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's a long series. That's what I'll
tell you what we can say. It's almost time for Mike McKenna. One last note. Varlamov stopped 30 of 31. He won his 4th straight. Varlamov and Sorokin has each won 4 straight starts for the Islanders this postseason. It's the 3rd time in NHL history that a team has had 2 goalies win at least 4 starts in a row in the playoffs. Eddie Johnston did it for the 72 Bruins. Of course, won the Stanley Cup. And Phil Meyer and Pete Peters did it for the Philadelphia Flyers in 1980, who did not win the Stanley Cup. So
little depth.
We'll see what happens on that note.
Little depth in net there.
Yeah, absolutely. Never hurts, Biz. Never hurts. But either way, it's time to bring on Mike McKenna. Once again, he's the most goals by a U.S.-born goaltender in AHL history, 14-year career, bounced around quite a bit, some great stories. But before that, I want to let you know that this interview is brought to you by OCB Rolling Papers. OCB is the largest rolling paper brand in the world and has been one with nature, crafted naturally since 1918, so you know they've perfected the process for a consistently great session time after time. We've been singing its praises for months here on Chiclets, and I'm telling you, once you try OCB, you'll be singing with us because the papers are unreal. Unlike most brands that buy their paper from a third-party source, OCB oversees the entire paper-making process, ensuring a century of quality straight to your hands. I'm a big fan of the bamboo sheets myself. It's my second favorite plant. All of a sudden, spit it out, RA. And all the booklets are made in 100% green, energy-powered buildings. Ask for OCB wherever you buy your papers and sample the entire line of products. In the meantime, OCB has an unreal deal for our listeners. Visit ocbusa.com/chiclets to get 4 booklets of OCB and a rolling tray for $4.99. We had a couple of people tweet theirs after us. It's the best deal on the internet. It's unreal. This bundle is worth $20. You get it for $5. It's a limited time only. Once again, ocbusa.com/chiclets. Tons of value. And if you don't have a tray, if you're into whatever leafs you like, you need a tray, man. They're so ideal. They're so cheap. So take advantage of this deal. Also, follow OCB on Instagram at OCBUSA to stay in touch with the natural wonder of OCB. You must be 21 plus to buy our papers or their papers and follow the social account. So, again, if that's your thing, you want to check out those papers, in particularly that deal because it's so good. But right now, we're going to send it over to Mike McKenna. Enjoy. Well, it's time to bring on our next guest, and this guy played goalie for 14 professional seasons after being drafted by Nashville in 2002. He dressed for 9 different NHL teams and 22 teams altogether on his way to becoming the winningest U.S.-born goalie in AHL history. And these days, you can catch him giving his Vegas Golden Knights analysis on AT&T Sportsnet. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Mike McKenna. How's it going, man?
Man, what a feeling to have you rattle off those terms and conditions for me. That's awesome. You should see my jersey and mask collection, RA. It's stupid. Takes up a whole guest room closet in my house. Thanks for having me.
I saw the smirk as soon as he listed off how many teams he played for, you fucking suitcase.
That's all I'm known for. Dude, I actually, like a month ago, I was like, I got to memorialize this career. And like, this is my stupid humor. I'm like, man, I want to get a suitcase with wings on it. And I got that tattooed on my leg. Like we're talking like 6x8, like in the clouds with like my frame of my first game pro the day of it. And then my last game pro the day with this big, huge winged suitcase. Like,
come on.
Perfect. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. You got an artist out there that you're going to hit up?
Yeah, dude. I got this guy named Jason, just loves hockey, metalhead like I am. We were vibing, man. We'd never met before. Sat down for 6 hours and pounded out a big tattoo on my leg to memorialize an incredibly mediocre career.
You should go to who Biz got his done from.
Yeah, the
Halloween guy.
He'll do the best scarecrow that's rotted out in like end of November. You still haven't moved off your front porch. They put on his arm.
Dude, I first saw the scarecrow when Biz and I were ECHL All-Stars together, man.
Ooh,
that's right.
Oh, you guys played an All-Star game together
in Boise, Idaho, right?
Yeah, my buddy Mike Medill wheeled him in the room. He's like, you got to meet this guy, man. You'd love him. And he's like, he's got like Halloween on his arm. And I'm like, all right, cool, dude. And then sure enough, he comes in like, yeah, there's pumpkins. Yeah.
And then we ended up reconvening when we played in Portland together. But we're going to get into your career a little bit later. Part of the reason we wanted you on is, of course, you had the job with the Vegas Golden Knights. Congratulations on getting that right out of your career. But you've been watching this playoffs. Obviously, you're probably dialed into the Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury storyline going into this conference finals. We just want to pick your brain on everything you got going. So I guess we'll start out with the gig. How did you end up getting the gig with the Vegas Golden Knights on TV?
Well, just like my career, I kept fooling everybody. I mean, I like when I was playing, I did my best to kind of set myself up for this. I mean, like Biz, you and I were like two of the first people that were using Twitter years ago, right? For better or worse. And it kind of created something of a brand for myself. Cause like, obviously I was a number 3 goaltender most of my career. Like I never played a full season in the NHL, but if you combine all my years, it was like 2 seasons worth, you know what I mean? So like I was there, but never really like in the club. So all along, I just like enjoyed social media and I I kept writing. I went to college. I have a degree, but I kept writing while I was playing. And then I'd do media hits. I'd produce all these things for teams. And I guess it kind of built something of a brand for me. And then my last year pro, I got a hit with NHL Network, like on stage out of nowhere before the Cup finals. And that kind of showed people, hey, maybe he can do this on TV. And, you know, Vegas kind of came out of nowhere. Like I'd already had auditions with a couple of teams before I retired, like the summer before I retired for things. And I decided, all right, I want to play one more year. And then Vegas came calling like pretty late in that summer before last season. I went out, I auditioned, and I was like, I thought just taking the audition was be like, okay, like this is gonna be a great experience. And I walked away from it. And I was like, man, like I'm going to get this. I think like I knew I did well on it. And then they offered me the gig and, you know, 4 months after I stopped playing, I was on TV as a studio analyst. It was unbelievable, man.
Oh my goodness. That's a quick turnaround. We were talking before we ended up recording, and I get nervous before I do the Coyotes gig going on television a lot more than doing these Zooms. You don't get nervous before the television hits, which I would imagine played into the fact that you were so comfortable and why they wanted you right off the hop.
Yeah. I think it was like when I first started, I was pretty nervous because I didn't know what I was doing. Like they kind of put you up there and don't give you a lot of information. It's kind of like, hey, you're on TV, go for it. You know? And I was always like, oh man, like what kind of notes do I have to take? What cameras do I look at? All these things. So it was all swimming in my head. And I think by like Christmas time last year, like the first 2 to 3 months, I started to really get it. And now it's just like autopilot, you know, the only thing I'm concerned with is getting my notes done in the morning so that I can kind of memorize them like a test as much as possible. So I don't have to look at them if I can avoid it. And then just being able to dance on my feet. Like for whatever reason, the camera, I love the camera. I don't know why. I mean, I was like the lead role in the 4th grade play, right? Like for some reason, I guess I just like the attention. I'm a goalie and I'm an only child. So go figure.
And I always remember from our playing days, even in Portland, whenever any media member would come ask you a question, you wouldn't just give your typical answers. You would normally have like a full blown conversation, and there would be dialogue, and you know, you spoke from the heart. And I think you became a bit of a media darling, especially towards the end when you got your chance back up in the NHL.
Yeah, well, you know how that goes, man. Like you get a rep for it, and you start to become a go-to guy in the locker room. And I can't stand that about how plain we are as hockey players. Like guys have so much personality that we don't know about, and you don't have to give away secrets, but you do need to at least, like you said, speak from your heart and be honest, right? And self-assess. And for whatever reason, I was always open and willing to do that. And yeah, I got the gift of gab from my mom. So thank Mom. I mean, she kind of steered me down this course, you know? So once I get going, it's hard for me to stop.
I think we're similar in that regard, where sometimes we might start going a little too long.
Yeah. It's like, you got to tell me to like, just zip it. Like, Mike, be quiet. I've got these little business cards that say, stop talking. Yeah. I need that myself sometimes.
I guess the last one before I'll let RA or Whit hop in here was obviously you join up with the Vegas Golden Knights, the expectations coming in, expansion team, and it's turned into what it's turned into now. Like you must be blown away by how they've been able to figure out how to run this NHL franchise and essentially set the standard.
Yeah, it's sick, man. Like I played in Vegas from 2005 to 7 in the ECHL, and we did well, right? Like we averaged over 5,000 people a game, but it was like a niche market, you know? And you wondered like, how is that going to translate to the NHL? Are they going to fill the place? And I think there was a little bit of apprehension at first, just because like the ticket sales, the season tickets didn't go like this, right? It wasn't like Winnipeg where they all went gone in like 10 minutes, but it was like a slow burn building up. And then like, it was just the perfect storm of things, right? Like for better or worse, the mass shooting that took place October 1st in Vegas, like galvanized this whole city around the hockey team. People in Vegas needed something to root for. They needed something to bond, to rally around. And that was it. Derek Englund skated on the ice and gave one of the most unbelievable speeches ever. And it just, from there, it took off, right? The underdog mentality, going to the Cup finals. And like, you can't go anywhere around this city without seeing like stickers and license plate holders and gear. And like, dude, I get recognized. I never got recognized as a player. I can't go anywhere in the city without people knowing who I am. You know how strange that is for like a bum like me to have.
You're gonna be walking around with a bodyguard.
Yeah, like it's like
fucking
Bieber. Want me to tell you about my tats here? I'll explain about this one.
Yep.
You just start talking, and the person ends up leaving you.
Yep, that happens all the time.
Well, you mentioned walking around. You're getting noticed, but I don't know much about Vegas. Like I'm there. I'm on the strip, or I'm at a golf course, but Is it more so the people who are enjoying the team are living outside in communities? Like, what's the whole vibe outside the Strip? Where are people living outside the city?
Yeah, so like the players all, for the most part, live in Summerlin, which is the western side of town, and there's nice pockets all around Vegas. I mean, Henderson, where the American Hockey League team's going to be, up north around town, there's plenty of good places. But it's way more family oriented than people would think. Like when you drive down the Strip, you see all the gentleman club signs and billboards and things, and you think it's still old school Vegas, and like it's still there, but you get away from the Strip, and it's kind of just another, like desert community. It's not that different than a Scottsdale. You know what I mean? Like, and people, especially the players, when they show up here, they want to stick around for a reason because it's a great place to live.
Yeah.
Biz, you love this one. There's no state tax. And I mean, it's just a good place. Like the organization takes care of the players very well. It's run very efficiently. Facilities are top notch. And there's a lot of good perks out here too.
Mike, were you surprised that Vegas dispatched Colorado in 6 and kind of did it rather handily in that last game?
I'm not surprised that they beat them. I wasn't sure how many games it would take or if they would, but I just couldn't believe how well they were able to contain the MacKinnon line. MacKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen. You talk about like playing your role on a team, and it was basically charged to the top line of the Golden Knights to take care of that line. So you had Stone, Stevenson, and Pacioretty in charge of taking care of MacKinnon and his crew. And so generally you want your top line to be your scorers, right? And in this instance, like those guys played defense and their scoring came on top of it, but 5-on-5, they dominated them. They didn't let MacKinnon get winding up through the neutral zone. They played on top of him. They didn't give him time and space in the D zone. And that was the whole difference in the game, in the series. And I thought that they did an amazing job shutting them down. And then the D scoring for the Golden Knights started to pick up early in the series. It wasn't there. That was huge. Pietrangelo played unbelievable. So I wasn't surprised because, again, it was like the series in the season, I think, was 4-4 or 4-3. It was split in regular season, right? And the Golden Knights actually had a harder time against Minnesota regular season and in playoffs, it felt like. So once they started to roll, man, like Golden Knights were able to adapt. They changed a couple things in series, and Colorado just couldn't keep up with those changes.
I want to ask about the goal that Marc-Andre Fleury gave up, the real bad one with the second left in the period there. What does a goalie tell himself after a situation like that? I mean, like, I'm sure similar probably happened to you. What does a goalie say to himself?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I had plenty of clunkers, man.
No, you had a big career.
I had one in conference final, Calder Cup playoffs a couple of years ago in Rockford, like an absolute floater that hit my blocker, went straight up and in, right? It was just kind of similar thing. And, I mean, what can you do? It's in the net. Like you can't do anything about it. You just go in, you're mad at yourself, but you focus. And I think the big thing for the Golden Knights was to see how the players reacted to Fleury. Like they all just rallied around him, right? He's the heartbeat of that team, man. And like goalies don't just, like, you're not just there to stop pucks. You have to inspire your teammates. And like wait, you played with Flower, like Biz, he's a guy that inspires his teammates, man. And they picked him up and he went right back to work. He was really good the rest of the game. And it's not surprising. Like he's been through so much in his career at this point. That's just water off his back.
I said, when we recorded after that he would go in, I could picture it like, just like, sorry guys. And everyone is so quickly to say, don't even worry about it. And like say, we have to help him out because the way the guys love him and like playing in front of him, it's no doubt that he just brings out feelings for players to really get fired up to play. So I agree with that. I mean, the whole team is just, they're built for the playoffs, right? Like we talked to Mark Stone, and that's a guy who you can tell is like a serious competitor. Even talking to us, he loosened up a little bit, but he's probably the guy who really gets everyone going. And when I hear Pacioretty talk about him, like he is a true leader of that team.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like listen, I played with him in Ottawa 2 years ago, and I kind of knew like the legend of Mark Stone and how he gets so excited on goals and everything. But like until you're in the locker room and on the bench and see it happen and like backing up like I usually was doing, you see these things firsthand, how somebody runs they run the high five line after a goal and he's just so intense, but it's in this like super like whimsical childlike fashion. You know what I mean? Like he's just so pumped in it. Like it picks everybody up through the locker room, man. It's easy to feed off of that. Like in Ottawa, man, I felt like he was our captain, but they wouldn't put the C on him because he didn't have a long-term contract. Right. And I thought it kind of held our team back. Like the moment they gave him the C in Vegas, like his game went up and then everybody else kind of went up with it. Cause like, I'm still of that belief you need a captain in the room. Like you need that one voice, and he's so good about it, right? He's not overly vocal, but just the way he leads on the ice, you can see big moments. That's a guy that you trust, that you depend on.
I don't want to try to kick up the old dust too much. What did you make of the situation last year with when Alan Walsh ended up tweeting that photo out? Because you know how uncomfortable it is when you have a goalie partner and you guys are in competition and you're trying to keep it somewhat healthy. Yeah. What did you make of that whole dynamic? And had you ever found yourself in a similar type of situation where maybe like an agent was coming in?
Never an agent. I mean, that was just awkward. I was shocked by it in a lot of ways because how many times have we ever seen anything like that? Like never in the middle of playoffs. But I really looked at it just how well Marc-Andre and how Leonard reacted to it. Like those guys, it didn't phase them or their relationship at all. And like, I know both of them, right? Like Leonard and I played together. Like I know them and they just went about their business. They played hockey. They kept their eye on the goal. But it is like when you have those things outside of your locker room, like you wonder, does it play in or anything? And it didn't affect the Golden Knights. It put things to bed pretty quickly. But man, it's definitely strange because like you can imagine like walking into a locker room like that. If your goalie partner, like if something like that comes out, you're like, oh man, like, are we cool? And it was like, they were fine. Like Marc-Andre was still the teammate he always was. And it was just a big shock to the system, but they put it to bed really quickly.
You also, I saw you online breaking down some clips of Flower. I think it was more recently against Colorado for Rob Schrempf's platform.
Yep.
And, given Fleury's age, you just said it seems he works so good on his conditioning and his edge work. That's why he's able to stay at the top of his game even later in his career.
Well, he's a thoroughbred, man. Like when you see him, like, I don't know what his body fat is, but there's no way it's over like 7, and he's never been a guy who's missed extended periods of time due to structural problems with his body. So some of us, man, like I never missed a game in my life due to injury. Not one.
Really?
And you look at my career. Yeah, right. Until Sweden, right? Yeah. But like you look at my career and the reason why it went as long and I got my chances is because I was always ready to play. I played through a lot of shit. I mean, I was hurt a lot, but I played through it. And like Flowers got energy like crazy. And it doesn't matter his age, and I look at how he's improved his game over the years, man. It's wild to see, like from when we came in, we didn't know about post integrations. We didn't know about proper leg recoveries. And he just keeps progressing. He keeps taking everything in from other goaltenders, from goalie coaches, working with them, internalizing it, and he's able to transfer it. And I mean, he's playing arguably the best hockey of his career, 36 years of age, carrying a team, in what's supposed to be the twilight of his career. And I don't think it's the twilight. I think he's going to write his own script.
So it's like that's probably the one position in hockey. Sorry, with the hop and last that is constantly evolving nonstop as far as maybe dive a little bit more into that.
Well, I'll put it this way: like the biggest thing has been like these post integrations and blocking.
What is that?
So like if you guys ever get into it, you'll see like VH, which stands for vertical horizontal. Or you'll see RVH, reverse vertical horizontal. It's when goalies go down on the post, right? And they put their skate against the post. Yep. And it's what makes goalies look bad when a puck goes in that shouldn't, okay? If it's done properly.
Like, why is he down right there?
Exactly. Yes, and that's like goalies get in trouble when they get lazy in it, right? It shouldn't just be puck's kind of close, I'm going to go down in it, whatever. Like you need to have a purpose for what you're doing. So we didn't really know about that until 2008-9, we started to do like one leg up on the post. Well, we started getting roasted. So then Jonathan Quick comes along, 12-13. He comes in with this RVH, which was like skate blade against the post, which changed everything. And everybody had to learn this, right? And some guys took longer than others. Some guys ended up out of the league because they couldn't adapt to it because of their hips or anything else. So like that was one change. Another change is just how fast the game's gotten, like laterally. You've got to be able to skate. You've got to stay kind of narrow and try to be able to use your hands and your upper body and not just block. Like you have to be dynamic to be an NHL goaltender nowadays.
So we catch a lot of heat actually because none of us know a thing about goaltending. So this is very interesting. And then it reminds me, I can ask you, besides his size and his athleticism, what does Vasilevsky do that just makes him above everyone else in Tampa?
Oh, he's a great skater. It all goes back to that for me. Like if you look at all the great goalies over the years, whether you go from, you can go from Hasek to Brodeur. Marc-Andre is a great skater. Grubauer, Vasilevsky, they're all elite.
You're throwing Grubauer in the all-time greats list?
We'll get to him later.
Talking about his skating right now amongst NHL goaltenders.
Okay.
He's one of the best.
I gotcha.
Okay. And so, yeah, but like, if you watch these guys, man, like the way that they transition, the way they shuffle, they're constantly in motion around the crease. But by the time the shot comes, they're square, they're set, their feet are ready. And that lets them play more aggressively than just hanging out on the goal line. Like they can be at the top of the crease and still move and still get square. And then, but like Vasilevsky's just freakish, right? His athleticism is in a different way than other guys. He can do things not just with his body, but his mental athleticism, the way he processes the game, right? Dude, like not many people are going to go behind the back and make a save anymore. Like there's a level of creativity to what Vasilevsky does that not every goalie has. And like, I think that's kind of really what separates the elite guys is like your competitive battle and your ability to adapt in any tough situation.
How important is understanding the game in front of you from like a structural standpoint? Like, do you pay attention as a goalie to what the players are trying to do too? Because I've heard stories about when Patrick Roy moved over to Colorado, him and Adam Foote would room together, and they would strategize together. As where like Patrick Roy would essentially say, "This is where I need you here on the PK. I need to see the shot from this angle," and so on and so forth. So, is that something that you knew, and is that something that every goalie needs to do?
I did, and I think every goalie should. Like the worst thing a goalie can do is go into the locker room between periods and like get away from his teammates and not talk.
Like Billy Smith?
Yes. Right. And then go out and just try to kill people. But like, dude, that was the old school way of doing things. Yeah. That was the old school way of doing things, man. Was like goalies are on an island. You just let them do their thing. And like, I wanted every bit of information I could get because I wasn't very gifted athletically. Like, dude, I got scoliosis. I got like short shins, flat feet. Like Biz, you've seen me without a shirt on, man. It's not pretty, right? Like there's one thing this body was built to do, and it was play goalie.
I thought like, Whit stood out worse than yours if I'm looking at guys that I've played with.
I'll take it, dude. But like, it's
sorry, Whit.
Dude, we're on I forgot where we were headed with this, man. Usually I'm in the worst body category.
Normally it's me getting made fun of on the podcast.
Yeah,
so we're gonna switch it up today.
So when it comes to that stuff like penalty kill, I always wanted to know exactly what was going on. I always tried to process what other teams were doing, especially in meetings, because I wanted to be able to direct traffic and help my teammates where we're going, and especially like puck handles. I love to get out of the crease and handle it. And I wanted to know what the other team's forecheck was because like I had two goals. I did not want my defenseman to take a hit. That was first and foremost. And then second, I didn't want to turn the puck over. I wanted to make a clean pass. And if you don't know a team's forecheck, like how are you going to do that? Like you got to know those things. And I think that side of it's kind of been changing towards goalies now being more active in the locker room.
We also got, I think, the two big stories with Vegas and Montreal. Quebec kid Marc-Andre Fleury going against the Habs. Are you giving predictions on this series, or have you given any yet, or just kind of rolling with it?
I hate making predictions. My gut says Vegas takes it in 5. My heart, my head probably says 6, but just because Montreal's so plucky, man, and like they've won 7 straight. I know they've had time off, but I really like that top line, man. Toffoli, I thought he was awesome last year in the bubble for Vancouver. And then like Suzuki he can fly. He's got a good shot. And Caulfield, like this kid just has premier playmaker written all over him, right? Like the way they're snapping it on the PP, how it's gotten better as playoffs have progressed. And like Caulfield's gotten some confidence. Like that's a quality team in that regard. I just think that the depth of the Golden Knights is eventually going to be tough to go against for Montreal. Like VGK's dressed 25 players and 21 have had a point in playoffs. Like that's pretty impressive, and it's coming from all over, right? It's D scoring, it's all throughout the lineup, and that's just in playoffs that's tough to contend with.
Well, I think the fourth line had 2 goals in that closing out game at home against Colorado as well. One name we haven't mentioned, Carey Price, and you talk about guys changing things up. Going back to maybe at the middle of the year, I don't want to say he was struggling, but wasn't playing maybe up to Carey Price standard to now. Have you noticed anything different? Because he did get a new goalie coach as well in Sean Burke.
Yeah, I actually don't notice much structurally, right? Like Sean Burke's always been known as, hey, a goal line type of coach, right? Step back, let the play come to you. You don't have to attack things. Like he did that with Mike Smith, right? Reinvented his game. Biz, you saw that firsthand. Devin Dubnyk got a jump start on his career again with Berkey in Arizona. I had Berkey for a while when I was there too. I've seen it firsthand, but I haven't seen big technical changes. But what Berkey does so well is he's a very good mentalist, right? He knows how to get you in the frame of mind to play games. And sometimes with a goalie like Carey Price, who's so good technically, like you can overdo it. You can overthink what you need to do. And I think just having somebody in your corner like Burke, who's done it, who just knows what it's like, can kind of like calm you down, man. Because I don't really look as much to how Carey Price is playing because he's playing like the best version of himself now. I look at like his press conferences and he's having fun, right? Like I can just tell that he's in a really good frame of mind right now. He's playing big, he's playing carefree, and he's enjoying it. And like, if you're a goalie and you're not having fun, you're never going to be your best. And right now, Price looks like he's just enjoying himself.
When goalies do slump or they are a little bit off, Mike, is it usually just a mental thing that they got to work through?
Usually. Yeah. I mean, because like your technical base, you can rely on. You can always go back and drill on it and practice. And it's different for everybody, right? Like I'd want to go and practice hard if I was missing something, and that would translate for me. It worked. Whereas other guys just need to get away from it. And that's where you really rely on your goalie coach, right? You need a goalie coach who understands what makes you your best version, right? If you're somebody who needs those reps, if you're somebody who just wants to do video, you got to be really in tune. And that's why it's a special relationship, man. Like goalie coaches and their goalies it's different than any other one in the NHL or in hockey to me.
And how easy is it for like an elite number one goalie to just lose his confidence and then regain it? Like,
I was never an elite number one, so that's hard.
Goalie expert, though.
It's like asking Biz, what was it like running a power play?
Biz, when you were on the half wall sifting saucers over to go, like,
yeah.
Man, I remember when Biz could play, though, dude. You put points up in the Coast as a D-man.
Yeah.
Two-time All-Star.
Yeah, right, nobody cares about the Coast, though. We're here to talk about the show. Just kidding. But actually, it's probably a good segue at this point. What made you start playing goalie early on?
I was a gear nerd, man. First off, I was really lucky. My dad and grandpa were off-ice officials for the St. Louis Blues where I grew up. So I got to go to every home game, right? They used to not be NHL employees, the off-ice officials. And they would just give them a couple of season tickets. And like for me as a kid, dude, like this was gold, right? And my grandpa was like one of the first founding fathers of hockey in St. Louis. Like 10 guys, they'd have to drive 2 hours to get on a sheet of ice. Now we've had like 36 people in the NHL, right? Okay, that was like.
Oh yeah, St. Louis is a hockey hotbed now, especially with a lot of the guys retiring there as well.
Yeah, it's insane now. My grandpa, he wouldn't believe it if he saw it, but like I'd go to these games and I just was drawn to the other team. I'd go watch the other team in warmups. And I'd just look at the goalies and I'd see Kelly Rudy comes in. The guy's wearing a bandana. Like, dude, cool. And like Patrick Waugh comes in the building. And when you're a kid, it's like, he's got this aura. It's like Rick James episode of Chappelle's Show, right? Where he's like, I seen his aura. And Charlie Murphy's telling the story. Like, that's what Pat Roy's like walking in the building. And so I was just enamored with it, man. And so I'd look at their gear. I'd watch them in warmups. And then I'd go home and I'd get USA Hockey Magazine. I'd order every catalog I could find. And so I think the first time I played goalie was like 5 years old in mini mites. And I have video of it. My grandpa's filming and you could hear him go, we're never going to get him out of there. And so, but my dad and grandpa made me skate out for 2 years, which I'm really like thankful for. Cause like, at least I learned how to skate and use my edges. And I still play forward almost weekly when I can. And I did while I was playing. And I think it really helped me understand the game and actually be a hockey player and not just a goaltender.
Never once did it scare you that these pucks would be coming at you? Like
you don't think of this when you're a kid, the ramifications, man. Okay. Like it's just, the gear looks cool. You get to be on the ice the whole time. And that's what I wanted. And then you get older and these things start hitting you and you realize what decision have I just made? Right? Like these bruises you get and how bad it hurts, but you almost start to wear that with like pride, dude. You almost like, I miss the pain of getting hit. That's fucked up, but
that's sick and twisted, bro.
Do you need any reality. Like surgeries? You said you never missed a game, but you were injured. Are you healthy now?
Yep. I never missed anything. So I played through the Calder Cup finals. I had a pulled groin both times, like bad. I pulled it skating off for an extra attacker 1 year of all things. But I never had surgery on anything. I think I had a fracture in my first like index finger on my blocker hand. I never had a concussion that was diagnosed. I think I had one realistically looking back, but I was lucky, man. Like it's funny though, because I didn't get hurt. And then a couple of months ago, I'm filming this thing, an on ice breakdown with Derek England. And I'm like, at the end, like none of us had done anything on the ice row. I was like, hey, let's screw around. Let's do a shootout. Like, so we do it. And I fucking throw my back out like so bad. I couldn't move for 2 weeks. There's no way I could have played. So I guess I'm okay, but I think there's some underlying stuff in here that's going to be discovered as I get older.
So for all the gear nerds that are listening to this podcast, I think the Gretzky aluminum is probably one of the most iconic sticks for a player. What was like the goalie? What was the holy grail as far as goalie gear back then?
It was getting your first mask for sure, man. Like I had a player helmet, like the combo, until I was probably like 12. And then I made the Pee Wee Quebec team in St. Louis, which, by the way, Whit, I know you took this thing, but like,
were you there in 1997?
Yeah, I was there in 97, but we were in the B flight.
You remember the parade?
We were, you were on top, right? With the,
I was in the King's chair.
Yeah. So like we were in the B flight. I think we were more concerned with like going to Winter Park and doing the tubing and trading pins. And we were trying to win the thing, right?
Yeah, no, we were doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Trading
so like
pins.
We go and John Wensing's our coach, who like, big afro for the Boston Bruins, like challenged the bench. And like, that was my first taste of like high level coaching in hockey. And I got a mask, and my dad, who raced cars, grabs out the old airbrush and paints it for me. And it was just like this, holy shit, man. Like I'm a goalie now, right? Like boosted confidence. And we still got waxed in the tournament, but I felt like $1 million, dude. I had a painted helmet. Like I really looked like a goalie, like not this combo anymore. That was it for me.
Do you remember the first time somebody dinged you in the bucket and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I kept taking off?
I do, because I had this powder. My dad sent my cage to a powder coater that used to do his race car chassis. Well, I don't think it's the same type of powder coat you need for a goalie cage, because the first shot that hit it was like this like explosion of silver right in front of my eyes, and like half of the powder coating came off. And I was like, all right, that sucks. So like, let's try to avoid this. But listen, if you're a goalie, you're going to get hit in the head. Like I would always give guys one free pass. And then after that, it's like, come on, man. And some guys just never hit you. If they never hit you and they plunk you every once in a while, it's like, whatever, dude, you've earned it.
So go ahead, Witzer.
Where'd your dad race cars?
He raced open wheel all across North America. So like IndyCar, kind of like the American League of IndyCar, I guess you could say. Yeah, Sports Car Club of America, 4-time national champion. He won the President's Trophy, which was the top amateur driver in the U.S. in North America. I mean, guys like Bobby Rahal, Roger Penske, Jimmy Vasser, those are all like IndyCar champions, have won that same trophy. So
wow.
I raced karts a little bit in the summer, but I sucked at it. So I stuck to what I was good at in hockey.
That's where you got the crazy twitch.
Yeah.
And then it transferred over to goals. Now you said you went to the Pee Wee tournament. At what point did you think there was ever a possibility that you could play pro hockey? Like when did...
Fuck. I never thought it. Like, I still can't believe I played pro. Like I think realistically, because like I made the AAA team in St. Louis when I was 10, and then we looked at the financials and went, no way, right? Like nobody from St. Louis is making it anywhere. My parents shot it down, and I played AA hockey. I played high school hockey in St. Louis for 2 years. Like Joe Vitale played 4 years of high school hockey. I played 2. And I went, and I think my first inclination was when I was Bantams, I made the AAA team again, and we were like, all right, let's do this. Let's see what can happen. And I like won top goalie in every tournament. And it was kind of like, holy shit, like people are starting to notice me, right? Like Silver Sticks, we won the Kamloops Bantam tournament, like, and it just rolled quick. And that rolled into trying out for the US team, the program at 15. I'm like, Whit, you were there again, and you turned him down, I remember, which I don't understand why. You were the best D there, and you said no. But like, I didn't make that team, and I was pissed because I knew I was the best goalie there. But I'd only been on the radar for like a year, dude. And so I got turned down from that, but I made a junior A team in Springfield, Illinois in the NAHL, which was still good hockey back then.
Weren't
it was
you
kind
goons too?
Oh, dude. When you were 18, you didn't have to wear a face shield at all in junior.
Whoa.
Like no cage.
What about a visor?
Nope. But we had
Springfield and the Texas Tornado and the NHL are goons.
Oh, dude. We had the Deitch. We had Mark Deitch, who just killed people. Like some of these old names from that league were just crazy, man. Like if we'd have 3-ring circuses going on, like I can't believe I lived through it. But
so you start getting recruited and you end up at St. Lawrence. What was that process like? They just showed the most interest, or?
Yeah, because I'd taken an unofficial to Notre Dame, and then I took an official to Cornell, and I had another one lined up to Colgate after. And like how this works sometimes is like your grades will kind of lead you where you're headed, right? Like I wasn't a blue chip prospect at this point, and I decided on college rather than the OHL. Like I had O teams tell me they were going to take me early in the draft if I wanted to, but I was like, man, I'm just not ready for that jump.
Anybody offering you money?
No, I didn't talk to London, so
we
were fine.
But this has a big lawsuit going. You can hop in on it. A couple years, it'll be settled.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get out of the way because I didn't know if I could play pro. I thought college seemed like the right idea. So I took my visit to St. Lawrence and it just felt right. Like everything about it. And I knew coming in, it was going to be me and another freshman goaltender and I'd have a chance to play. And I loved the campus. And I was like, boom, I'm taking this, take my scholarship, canceled the one to Colgate the next week. And it ended up being the best decision of my life, man. I got to play a lot of hockey. I met my wife there, like set me up for my career. I got drafted that next year and, you know, it was the right decision, man. St. Lawrence is a pretty cool place, as cold as it is, but it's special up there.
Didn't you scoff a keg or something from Clarkson? Didn't you have a little keg?
Yeah, that happened. Yeah. So when we, so Clarkson, when you pull into Clarkson, it's 10 minutes away. It's the biggest rivalry, like one of the big rivalries in college hockey, right? And they have all their kegs sitting like on the loading dock. Well, that's where you'd go in. And it's a huge rivalry. And we beat them my senior year. And my goalie partner's like, we're doing this. And I'm like, oh yeah. So we brought an extra bag and we dumped an extra hockey bag. We dumped all the hockey equipment out of it. And on the way out of the joint, this is probably like 2004 or 5. So I don't think we were worried about cameras and I think it's okay now, but some teammates rolled this keg right into an extra hockey bag and we slapped it under the bus and we brought it back and like beating Clarkson, your arch rival, is a huge deal. So we tapped this thing and threw an absolute rager with it and then keg tossed and everything. So we beat Clarkson senior year, then stole a keg from him, partied with it. And like
never got busted.
Story, man. Nobody got busted for it. Nope. Clean. Like this is probably it. I'm outing everybody and they're going to come after us.
You just lost your degree.
Yeah. Labatt Blue. Never forget it.
One of our sponsors. There you go.
So then after you finish up at St. Lawrence, you go to Vegas. That's your first pro stop. You're 22 years old. What were your first impressions of Vegas? Are you a gambler at all?
No, I'm not. Like I played craps once or twice and I remember sitting there for like an hour and I won $15 and I felt like a fucking king, man. I was so excited, but like, I'm not a gambler at all. So it was actually a pretty good city for me. And like, I was only making $450 a week plus housing, man. So it's not like you were going to be able to last long if you're blowing all your cake anyway. But it was cool, man. Like if you wanted tickets to Cirque du Soleil or Blue Man Group, you just push your request in. Like if your family's coming in, 6 tickets to Cirque, sure. 8 rows up, boom, Mysterio. Oof. Like for guys in the coast, you could be playing in Wheeling or you could be playing in Vegas, right? And it was sick, man. Like the connections we had, like the Blue Man Group would walk in the locker room before games and just be like wandering around and Carrot
like
Top.
In character and shit? Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Was the team good?
Yeah, we waxed everybody at home. We were like 18-0, but we had we had this program where every ticket sold had a drink ticket on the back, a free drink at the Orleans. And our mascot would get all of these tickets that weren't sold. And he'd put like half the tickets in the visiting room and gave the rest to us. So the other team would come in and they'd have all these free drink tickets and they'd just get blitzed and we'd wax them. And then we'd collect all these tickets for when we'd go out after games. And so we'd like, we're not making any money. So we'd tip the waitresses or the waiters like $20 to start the night, drink the rest of the night, and then go wherever we were on the club to afterwards on the list. Dude, it was insane for the coast.
That's sick.
You mentioned Carrot Top. So when I was with the Coyotes my first year, I actually interviewed him and we never ended up airing it because he went off the rails and he was talking about how he would head inside the locker room and like in the shower and stuff and start like making fun of guys' cocks and shit.
Dude, he would like
Carrot Top would wheel in.
We'd roll into like 24-hour fitness and he'd be there and he'd go and like he's shredded up top with some toothpick legs and he'd pump out the upper body in like a half hour and then he'd go play basketball. And like, so our dudes would like go play basketball with Carrot Top. And then, like here it comes in the shower afterwards. So like, it's all real. Like he's not making things up, but it's almost like this surreal Vegas moment where it's kind of like, this is par for the course. We're just going to roll with this.
Unreal.
Winner plays Wayne Newton's team tomorrow at 12.
My close personal friend, Wayne Newton.
You ever meet him when you were out there?
He came up to me. Like his wife sees me without my mask on at this function a couple of months ago. And she's like, Wayne, it's Mike from the broadcast. Here comes Wayne Newton over to say hi to me. I'm like, what planet am I living on right now? So now we're text buddies,
That's absolutely hilarious. Now, what I know there was some about the team dinners. What was it? Treasures or something? What was the deal with the team meals?
Yeah, our owner Diesel, his name was Charles. Like this guy loved to blow it out, man. And like he'd throw a rager at our team sponsor, which was a gentleman's club named Treasures. And they were like on the dasherboards, Treasures, right? And he'd blow like 10K on these meals, which guys in the coast was, guys are ordering like well drinks, right? I'll give me a vodka soda. And then like, he's like, it's all on the tab. And all of a sudden, boom, Patron, everybody, right? It flipped the script. But man, like we had this one team function there and we had a guy on the team who, let's just say like the girlfriends really didn't want this to happen because it was a gentleman's club, right? And so finally the girls ended up coming to this team function. Okay. They were allowed to, it was an appearance. And one teammate paid a dancer to sit on a guy's lap. And we knew that this guy and his girlfriend weren't going to be happy about it. I wasn't even actually there. I was on a recall at the time, but his girlfriend goes crazy. And she comes up, get your effing hands off my effing boyfriend. You eff it. Like take your pick of derogatory words, calls this dancer. And the dancer's just like not expecting. And they both get carried out of there. Like they went bananas. They almost fought. They had to get kicked out. And after that, the wives, well, they weren't wives. All the girlfriends were never allowed at another team function the rest of the season. Like at an appearance, they could not come to appearances because of what went down at Treasures. And one player just trying to play a joke on the other dude. And it turned into this almost brawl in the middle of this place.
Oh my goodness. This is fucking nuts. Any other crazy shit going on when you're playing in Vegas?
That's pretty much it, man. Like we had one.
Didn't you have like a midnight game once in a while? And like,
yeah,
people
we came out
be
through
so
a big
crushed in the stands.
We came out through a big slot machine that was like 777. And yeah, we did have a midnight game. They had an 18 and up game where they showed R-rated movies on the Jumbotron. So it was just unique, man. Like it was a really cool place to play, but those were the wild ones, really. Like we didn't have anything too crazy beyond those, but dude, it was a lot of fun, man, especially when you're making that little money.
How did you get your first opportunity in the American League?
Yeah, so I got called. I'd had like a couple of call-ups on PTOs, right? I wasn't on contract with anybody. Like I was drafted by Nashville, but they didn't sign me. They signed some guy named Pekka Rinne, and it worked out okay for him. And so I went to this coast deal, and I got called up a couple times. My first real crack was in Portland, Maine, though, my third year. And I had a big summer actually with St. Louis, going to Traverse City and then training camp, and played really well. And Portland/Anaheim just had a ton of injuries. And it was like, bang, we need a guy on American League one way. We need you in Vegas, or we need you in Portland tomorrow. Well, myself, my girlfriend, we had 2 cars in Vegas. I was ready to be out there. I get this one way in Portland, Maine, and never look back. My wife had to drive the cars. Girlfriend at the time had to drive the cars 48 hours across the country.
Some of these people don't know what the wives and girlfriends have to go through when we're getting shipped around.
It was crazy, man. And I didn't know if I was going to stick. I was on an American League one way, and this is 2007, 8. But I did. I stuck there and played a bunch of games for Kevin Dineen, and that's what kind of like, I never played in the coast again after that. My career just kept progressing from there.
What was your first opportunity to get in the NHL and play? It was Tampa, right?
Tampa Bay. My first game was against you, dude.
Did we win?
My first start was.
What was the score?
4-3 in overtime. Gary Roberts went crazy and sucker punched Matt Cook, and that put us on a 5-minute kill, and you guys scored twice.
Too bad.
So thanks, Gary. I got my first chance. I had never had an NHL contract, and I'm playing in Norfolk, and I was out playing Kari Ramo, and Mike Smith gets hurt. Olaf Kolzig gets hurt, and there's like 2 months left in the season. They're like, okay, somebody's got to come back up Smitty. Mike Smith is there. So they wanted Kari to keep playing in the American League. They called me up, signed to a contract on February 2nd, and I get called up. I've never even played in a preseason game. And then like 2 days later, I get thrown into the game midway through in Long Island. And I look up, and Rick Tocchet, like in Long Island, you back up in the stands, like just a total Munson. And I look up, and here's Rick Tocchet waving over the crowd. Like Ramo allows 3 quick ones, and he's waving over the crowd. I'm like, shit, like I'm going in, like I'm going to play in the National. Like this is happening. And so I went in, I stopped all 11. And then the next night I started against you guys in the Igloo and we were leading 3-0 going into the third against Flower. And then, just
we got 4 in the third to win.
You got 3 in the third, and then you got 1 in OT. Malkin had at least 2. He had the OT winner. And I can't remember who else had the other goals, but
did we tie it up late in the game?
Yep. It was maybe 40
Was
seconds.
it me? Was it me?
No, because it was a net front play, and I know there's no way on earth you were down there.
No, I tied one up against Tampa late, but it was from the point.
Yeah, it wasn't that one. But that was my first NHL start. And then the next start I had at home in Tampa was a 1-0 shutout. And then it was just all downhill from there.
You must have been so fired. Like after the game, I can't even imagine. All of a sudden you're in the NHL. You must have been so excited, so happy when you were up there doing that.
Yeah, I was in the coast, a year and a half before. And I remember taking my jersey off though, and just being like, man, I did it. I was like, fuck, I did it. I played the national. I couldn't believe it, man. And it was all just kind of surreal. And then it took me a little while to kind of get another opportunity there at all. But it was just amazing, man. I never envisioned that at all. And there were some really cool moments along the way, like my parents coming in and all that stuff. My dad was there to hug me coming off the ice for my first win. Awesome. Fantasy type shit, man.
So when you get to that level, and obviously you're happy and you would have never imagined that in your life, when you go back down to the American League and once you settle back in, is it hard to keep that same motivation to get back? Did you ever go through periods where it was a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? You're a little bit distraught. Is distraught the word? All right. Help me out here. Fuck.
I mean, depend. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Are you feeling good about yourself? I
don't know. There you go. Thank you.
I never felt bad about it at all because I was getting paid to play hockey first. And again, I wasn't anybody's prospect. And that was the big difference, right? When you look at my career, I was never on somebody's depth chart as a guy that was going to take over. I needed to play 30 games in the NHL for a team fucking lights out for me to ever have a sniff at getting a one-way and sticking with a team. That's just reality, man. And all the opportunities I got, you can look at it. I outplayed my goalie partner. And that sounds selfish. You can look at the numbers and see it though. Right. So all these times where they needed somebody to be a warm body and go back up, that was me. And I earned those. But when it came to having an advocate and somebody in my corner and being an early draft pick, it wasn't me. And I never made enough of a case for myself. In Tampa, I wasn't ready. I wasn't, right. I started off hot and I couldn't carry it. And then by the prime of my career, midway through, when I knew I could do it, that year in Arizona, 2012-13, or 2013-14, 14-15, whatever it was. If I got a chance with Arizona that year, I knew I can do this. And it just kind of, the moment I got the guarantee in my contract and got sent down the next day, I knew that was it for me. I probably wasn't going to be an NHL regular, but I still kept grinding and trying for it.
I see you have 1 NHL assist your first season with Tampa. Whose goal did you assist on? Was it anything fancy or just a routine dump or whatever?
You know I prided myself on being a really good puck handler, and I think that was just a leave it. And then they went to the other end, and Marty St. Louis probably took it and danced around everybody.
That's a wit. We call it a wit.
So I wish I had more because that was always bread and butter in my game.
I know you with number 56 quite a bit during your career. What was the significance of that? Was your dad's auto car or something?
Yeah, my dad used 56 for his race car. So, and then my grandpa wore it as his hockey number later in life. So it was just kind of the family number.
You mentioned your time in Ottawa. You got to have some Melnick stories. This guy is an absolute character, but every time we talk to somebody, they got to keep it PG. Is there any juicy stories you can give us about this character?
Man, the craziest one was the change room in Ottawa is across the way from kind of the trainers' tables and the showers and things. How we always have different change rooms where you get into your street clothes, right? You got a locker there. And I'm standing there and I got a towel on, thankfully at that point. And I'll just never forget, here he comes, Melnick comes wheeling around the corner with this entourage of people, 10 people. And both genders, dude, guys and girls. And he's walking by and guys are literally walking out fully exposed. And he's just walking in wearing a 10-year-old replica jersey. It wasn't even an authentic. And I'm like, this is surreal. This is the locker room. I'm trying to go take a shower. My hammer's out. Why are they in here? And that was just odd. And then we had this golf tournament where at the start of the year, we had this, you get swag bag, right? And our swag bag was Senators branded cologne, a Senators belt, an oven mat, like a $10 oven mat so you don't drip pizza cheese on the bottom of your oven, and a bottle of like apple Jim Beam. That was the swag bag. And it was just weird, dude. Like everything about that place that season was just weird.
Everything they couldn't sell in the pro shop, they would put it in your guys' gifting bags.
I think that's what happened.
You weren't there for when that whole Uber situation happened, were you?
I wasn't there when it happened in Arizona, but I got called up the next day. So I was there for when
the
it all
media
went
circus.
Down. The media circus.
What was like? Was there a meeting in the locker room about all this?
Oh yeah, like it all started off by it started off about 2-touch time, right? Like we were all starting to kind of get warmed up an hour before, and there's only like 4 of us in there for 2-touch. And Boriecki comes in, and he's like, "Guys, something's going on. Something's weird." And we're all looking around like, he's like, "I don't even know if we're going to play tonight, man. I can't even find the guys." Well, like the 7 or 8, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys or whatever, they're getting reamed out in the office about what happened. And we don't even see them until like 20 minutes before we're supposed to go on for warmups. Like I'm thinking I might dress as a D that night, and like, here they come in the room, and it was like everybody'd seen a ghost, right? Like from Dutchy to Wides, like, and it was just, and we had it before the game. It was like, yeah, some stuff's going to come out afterwards. We're going to keep it in house for now. We're going to do this. And it was an absolute fiasco, man. And
what was the score that night?
I guarantee we didn't win. We didn't win hardly anything when I was there, but yeah, afterwards it was just like, it was so tough because the players didn't get a chance to stand up and do anything. We just kept punting, and we didn't put the players out in front of it, and it lingered, and it turned into a battle with the media. And it could have been put to bed really quickly, and it wasn't. And I felt bad for the guys, especially like Weidman really took the brunt of that, right? Got traded, and like, it felt like he didn't really deserve that, but
AHL Defenseman of the Year.
Yeah. So hopefully for Wides, he gets to come back and go back right back where he belongs. But that was weird, dude. That whole situation was wild.
They traded you to, what was it? Looking here. Oh, Vancouver. You didn't really get traded too much during your career, but what was the circumstances there with Ottawa? Would you say nobody even let you know? You just kind of had to find out on your own?
Well, yeah, I only got traded twice in my career. For as much as a suitcase I was, that's always surprising to people. And it's all my transactions were really because I went up and down between the American League and the NHL team for the most part. And I signed a lot of 1-year contracts because that's all that was offered to me. But yeah, I take morning skate with Ottawa. And then I'm eating lunch, and all of a sudden my goalie coach comes in, Pierre Grew, and he's like, "Hey, got some news." And so, okay. So I go in the offices, and the assistant GM who I'd met like once, McTavish, and he got hired early in the year. He's like, "Yeah, Mike, wanted to let you know that we've traded you to Vancouver, who, by the way, were playing that night." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we didn't know how you'd react. But it's a business." And I was like, okay, I'm in my 14th year pro here. I understand it's a business, man. You don't have to tell me that. I've been in the pro game for 14 years. Like, I get it. But I've been away from my family for 2 months that year. Like, I signed this contract for thinking I'm going to be in Belleville and help the goalies out and get the call-ups if they were there. But I'd been there 2 months. They hadn't told me to get housing or not. So it was like, I'm a dead man walking. I know I am. I thought I'd get sent back to the American League. No. So I hadn't seen my family in 2 months. They show up to the hotel the day before I got traded, and we were going to be in the hotel together, and then bang. And I was like, man, I just remember looking at him. I'm like, this is not what we agreed to this summer at all when you guys were chasing me in the period leading up to this, man. And because it was a big deal. My daughter was in kindergarten. We're moving to Canada for the first time. And so I get traded. And, honestly, the part that hurt was like, that was it from the team. None of the coaches, save for my goalie coach, shook my hand or said good luck. I mean, I played like a dozen games for him. Pierre Dorian never called me, never texted, never came to shake my hand. He was in the building. I played against him that night, dressed, nothing. And I was just like, is this how we're going to do business? You've been traded before. You know what it's like. People call you. And so that left a really sour taste in my mouth. But thankfully, Vancouver was cool for 2 days. And then I got picked up off waivers by Philly. And Philly was awesome to me for the rest of that season when I ended up ending my career. But yeah, man, that the whole Ottawa deal was just like, come on, guys, treat your players right here is the way I felt. at the time in that situation. Right. And then, because I knew I wasn't going to see my family again for who knows. And it was another 2 months until I saw them again.
I think that's kind of one of the criticisms, at least in the past. I think they're trying to right the ship and figure that all out. But there's many guys who are willing to come on at some point and tell a few stories where they didn't have good experiences in Ottawa. Now, you mentioned coaching. Who, like, looking back, who do you think was the most not detrimental? What's the other word, guys, that I always instrumental coach in your career in order to like get you to where you needed to be?
I got 3. So I got, as far as a coach in hockey, Glenn Gulletson was the coach of the Wranglers. He's now assistant coach in the NHL with Edmonton. He was a head for a while for Dallas and then Calgary. Goalie was amazing, man. He gave me my chance in the coast, which jump-started my career. He was an advocate for me. He got me called up. I owe the world to him. But for me, goalie coach was Mitch Korn. And I had Mitch with the Nashville organization. 2002, I'm drafted by him. You go to the development camps for 4 years. And then we just became really close. I'd work his goalie camps in the summer, like St. Louis, Cincinnati. We'd travel around. And, you know, for never being in his organization, he's become a really dear, like, mentor to me, right? Somebody I could always count on. And he sent me to a guy named Chris Economo, who's not well known in NHL circles, but Econ was like the skating guy for goalies. And I went to this Econ skate and we didn't touch pucks for 2 weeks. And I learned how to move. I learned how to play. And I went to Econ for every year of my career, every summer after that. Now one of my closest friends, we're in a fantasy hockey league together called the EKHL. But it's those 3 guys were just like, they were it for me, man. And then, you know, you can go further. Like Kevin Dineen gave me a chance in Portland, and I'm thankful to him too, and a lot of other people. But really, like Gulletson, Mitch Korn, Chris Economo are kind of like my Mount Rushmore coaches.
You got to play in Portland, and for people who don't know, Portland, Maine, like some of the best restaurants in the country, and you ended up somehow getting paid to be a food critic.
Yeah.
Do you ever crush a lobster roll at Eventide Oyster?
One.
That's the best lobster roll I've ever had in my life.
In the world. That brown butter on it. And Eventide's one of the best restaurants on earth, dude.
So you got paid to do this, though?
I did. So it was a social media thing, right? They lost their food critic. And I tweeted them. I'm like, hey, I'm here. Let's go. And I love food. Like I'll go to kitchens and stage in kitchens in the summertime, which means like you go in and work for free. And I'll do it just to learn, dude. Like I just love it. I like learning about cooking and being good at it. And the editor of the paper was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, man, I here's my writing examples. Like I wrote in college, here's my writing examples for goaltending that I've done. And she's like, oh, wow, you can do this. I was like, yeah, I'm not kidding. And so they ended up taking me to this restaurant called Pacerino. I took my wife there and I had a budget. I could spend $150 and I got paid like $200 to write the article. And I was going to keep doing it the next year. And then the team ended up getting sold and moved to Springfield, Mass, which was like a huge bummer. But like I was lined up to be like their interim food critic, which was like mega awesome.
You could have been the critic of Mardi Gras in Springfield.
Yeah.
What's Mardi Gras? The strip club that's got the awesome buffet?
It's the equipment guy, Ralph Calvanese, could tell you about it in Springfield. That place has seen a lot, man.
That's all everybody who played there would talk about. I think they would go there legit every night to eat.
Some of those dudes had like a seat at the table. I never went in, never did. But some of them literally had like a bar stool with their name on it there.
Pervert row. You got the nameplate. Oh, unbelievable.
Your buddies come and tap it like the Notre Dame play like a champion sign.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to Ottawa real quick. You were there when the Erik Karlsson trade went down too, weren't you?
Yeah.
What was the story behind that?
It was another weird moment, right? We were at this, like, we had a golf tournament that day where we got those incredible swag bags. That I tell you what, that's a damn good oven mat.
Karlsson bitched about it. That's why he got dealt.
But yeah, like
Melnick was like, fuck, this guy doesn't like my cologne.
He shows up and like putts around the green and does one media interview and then just leaves. And it's like, everybody's in limbo. Like, is this guy getting traded? We all thought it was going to happen. And then it didn't. And he's gone. And then finally, like the next day, it all goes down. But like, we were all looking around just wondering, like, what's the deal here? Because you were waiting on it. And we had this like weird first meeting where like Dorian stepped up and gave us like a 2-minute speech and ran away. So it was almost like he's working on this deal like nonstop, right? And it finally happens with San Jose. And then, and then things kind of got normal. We get Tierney in and DeMello, they show up and they get like integrated right away. Like Dylan DeMello is an awesome dude, like fun to be around. But the whole team was just like what's happening here? Is he getting traded or not? And like the whole golf tournament was just weird because of it. The whole season was.
Back to Portland again. Was that at the site of Biz's rookie party as well, Biz? Is that true?
No, it wasn't my rookie party.
Okay.
I knew I was going to get. I knew I was going to get shit about this. Go ahead. I'll let you tell
me he was selling more clothes at another party.
Shut the fuck up.
Trunk of his car.
So we decided we're going to do a rookie party in Boston, which I've done a couple there. It's not always great because you're not really a big fish. And you can't really go where you want, but we wanted to get outside of Portland. And Biz is like, yeah, dude, I've got this guy, man. We're all set. We're going to hook it up. And we went to some Asian restaurant. We didn't let our rookies in because they're dressed up. So that was like strike one. And we kind of had to like gear them down and put them in like t-shirts to even get them in. And we sit down to this place and listen, the food was good. Biz, food was good. To your credit.
Yeah, food was good.
It was good. But then we got hit with like an $800 service charge for some dude that we didn't know. And then we got nailed for like $450 for water. And like they asked us about water and they're like, do you want still or would you like bottled? Sparkling. And Biz is like, sparkling. We don't drink tap water. And we're like, dude, it's the American League. Yeah, we do. And so we got crushed for like $450 on water. And like, I remember like I wanted to get like a different wine and they would only serve like Cab Sav with Asian food, which if you know anything about pairings, you might as well like blow your palate out and go down the street. And so that was a mess. And then we ended up at some weird club afterwards.
The club sucked. I set that up through a buddy. And
what was the name of the club?
Hey, you know what? You know when you said the writing was on the wall when you ended up getting sent down or traded? I think that legit my PTO was over when I booked that club for us, just seeing the disappointment. But here's the kicker. So we ended up going back afterward because I think the boys were fed up with the club. So they had a little party up in the room. And it was funny because when we were there last, Feidelberg said, I don't know if it's a Boston thing, but he got busted bringing up booze into the room where they said no booze in the room. So I brought some up and then the security guard came up. I ended up taking the fall and they said I had to leave the hotel. I got basically kicked out of the hotel. So the guy watches me pack my stuff. Well, luckily one of the girls that I'd met that night, we were still kind of texting back and forth. She said, I'm at this party. Why don't you come join me? Perfect. So I show up to this party with my Toomey luggage. Well, I wheel in. There was a couple guys from the party, a couple guys from the team at that party, but didn't know the girl that had invited me. So I wheel in with my Toomey stuff, and there's two guys from the team there like, Biz, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, so it all worked out where I ended up getting to play a road game that night. But yeah, that was a tough setup for Biz, and I think I really lost the room on that one.
Yeah, but
I don't think enough guys got laid to be happy.
We all look back at it though. It was just funny, man. Like it wasn't as good as the Thanksgiving. Like remember Thanksgiving at my place on the water?
Yeah.
Like we ended up eating bacon at midnight and then you slept on my couch with my kids around. It was very good. They really enjoyed Uncle Biz.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for joining us, man. It's great to catch up and good luck with everything. It's great that Vegas is winning and you're getting your chance on TV there. So hopefully they're in the finals when we're out there, we can see you again.
We need to, man. You guys got to do a live show out here when they get there. It'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
If they make it to the finals, we're coming out for sure. I might be there a little bit longer than a week. I know, Whit, what do you got, 4 days?
Probably go 4 nights max there.
Yeah, that's a long. But hey, buddy, thanks again for coming on, and maybe we can meet up at one of these live streams.
That'd be awesome. I'll wear my Macho Man outfit.
See you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate
Thanks, Mike. Huge thanks to Mike McKenna for joining us on the podcast. Great chat with him. We got to have him back again. He's got so many stories, and like Biz said, the way he breaks down the way the goaltender position has changed over the years. It's interesting, man, because it used to be such a simple thing. Guys still didn't try to stop pucks, and now there's kind of a science to it. So thanks again to Mike for joining us, and I want to let you guys know, particularly you guys, that Sport Clips stylists are experts in men and boys haircuts with specialized training and techniques. Cutting guys' hair can be harder than cutting a woman's hair. So when you go to Sport Clips versus a place that cuts women's hair, you're getting stylists who are specifically trained to cut guys' hair. Sport Clips are experts in understanding facial shape and hair texture and cutting to a guy's best advantage. Sport Clips' signature service is the MVP haircut experience. It's so much more than a haircut. The legendary hot steam towel in your face, the massaging shampoo that makes you melt into your seat. It's the ultimate in relaxation. And with over 1,800 locations nationwide, a Sport Clips is closer than you think. Visit a Sport Clips near you for a haircut that exceeds the typical experience from start to finish. All right, boys, we were just talking a second ago. What you said something about like tying people's shoelaces, which, you know, is a gross thing because shoelaces touch the dirty floor and stuff. Dude, when I was flying down to JFK the other day, I had to take a leak in the airport, and the dude had a cell phone at the urinal, and he dropped it, and it fucking, you know, there was like one of those like kind of sponge things where your feet go over, and it kind of bounced over to the next urinal where another guy was taking a leak, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, can you pick that up for me when you're done?" So the guy stepped back, and the dude in the urinal, like, actually, I would have been like, "Buddy, I'm done. Help yourself." I ain't like, this guy actually leaned over into like the fucking urinal, like not the urinal itself, the floor, and picked up. Now, I don't think he got his hands in anything and handed it to the kid, but I'm like, dude, like, you just dropped it in a fucking pissy spot and asked a total stranger to pick it up. And then the fucking guy did it.
He got jammed up. He got asked that, and he probably, he didn't even know it hit the sponge. Gutless move on the guy who asked him to grab it instead of waiting until he was just done with the area.
Well, the guy should have been like, "Yeah, buddy, you know what? Like, it's right there with your phone." Like, I don't know why he fucking, I mean, it wasn't even like a nice thing to do. The guy just had to wait for him to stop pissing and step away. But it was one of those, like, I forgot that tweet about it. I was like flabbergasted that this person actually did that.
He jammed the guy up. That's his natural reaction was just grab the phone, right?
Even asking that guy to pick up that phone is one of the biggest slaps in the face I've ever heard of.
Can you pick that up for me? I was like, dude, you just dropped your phone and pissed and asked a total stranger to pick it up.
To even have it go through your mind that he would pick that up for you is crazy to me. You drop your phone in the piss-filled area of an airport, maybe the most
farts
disgusting,
in his face.
The smell of an airport bathroom. I'm not even talking about the smell of shit. I'm talking about just the smell of like whatever cleaner they use. It's so gross. And to think that your phone is dropped into that floor and that another guy might pick it up that isn't in a hazmat suit, you're crazy.
I mean, even if your best friend for your whole life asks you, be like, "Fuck you, bro." Like, that's gross. You drop the fucking thing. Put your phone away when you're pissing, dude.
Biz is such a nice guy. He would have just hopped out of the stall. Hey, I got it for you.
Hey, let's get a beer. Eh?
Hey, mind if I make a call on it? Right up to my mouth.
What team do you root for?
I don't know. What day is it?
Yeah, I think that maybe the guy just jammed him up, and the other guy was like,
put him on the spot,
crossed his fucking streams big time.
That sounds like a Larry David skit where Larry David got jammed up and he'd be so mad about it where he felt the need to get him back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar along those lines. Definitely Larry David situation, but all right. Anyways, moving right along. A couple of final notes on teams that have done. Boston Bruins, a little more to their requiem here. In fact, Tuukka Rask did have a torn hip labrum, which makes the fact that the team started him with the season on line all the more baffling instead of like going with the young, healthy kid who clearly fucking had a knack for the job. Tuukka is going to be UFA this summer. He said he only wants to play for Boston. He's going to need surgery, which again, good job, fucking Bees management. Like not overruling the fucking guy who wants to play. Sorry, I'm venting a little bit. Surgery means he's going to be out till January or February. Jeremy Lauzon, who I gave a little grief for his series, he was playing with the splint, so egg on my face, but I guess he fucked it up in the first round. And how about this? Brad Marchand got a parking ticket on his car in the North End. Guy has made $50 million already. He's got another $30 million coming. And a fan left him a note like saying, "Oh, I'll pay your ticket for you." I mean, it was only two $5 bills in there. I don't know what we couldn't see, but like, really, dude? Like, this guy has $80 million. I love Mashi, but like, I ain't paying his fucking ticket. And you don't get a ticket for nothing. You get a ticket because you parked illegally.
I would have paid it if I saw a playoff
I'm
run
very
like that.
shocked you're taking this route. Like, what do you care if he fucking pays it?
I mean, I don't really care, but I'm like, it's crazy to pay a guy's ticket when he, violated whatever. It was probably resident pocket or whatever.
Okay, all right. Maybe Marchand had 14 goals in the 3 games that guy bet on the Bruins that season, and he won them thousands of dollars. And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to pay your ticket."
He should have said that in his Instagram when he was making sure everybody knew.
Or maybe
he's telling the guy we're just going to write his Instagram now.
Or he's like the guy from Semi-Pro where he'd let one of the boys crush his old lady. Like, I mean, that's obviously there's levels to fandom. There's a scale. And yeah, this one does land on an odd one, but that's a great point, Whit. I also think that this is just a wicked loyal fan showing respect to a guy he probably thinks took a hometown discount. I think that's why I think there's part of the element to being like, I'm playing for less than I'm worth, and I'm playing my dick off, and that's why these fans love these guys so much. That's why I think so. They're all blue collar people.
Yeah.
I was drunk for a week.
I was surprised to see that was your side of that. All right.
I mean, I guess
thought you're going to be proud of a fan taking care of a boy.
Dude, that's
grown into a man in the same
a guy
city
who
that
has
you grew up in.
Probably God knows how much money more than the guy. And look, I'm not giving Marchand shit for earning his dough, but it's like he parked illegally, dude. They don't give you tickets for doing nothing. I mean, if it was a hydrant, I'd be like, fuck you, run the hose through his two front windows. But I don't know. You get a ticket. You pay
what do you
it,
think's more ridiculous? Whether somebody pay the ticket or a guy let one of the local sports stars crush his old lady? What's worse?
I mean, well, paying a ticket probably, because like the guy. I mean, I was sounding like a fucking nerd, but he broke the. Not broke the law, but yeah, you got a ticket and you get a violation. Like paying that from the guy.
All right, let me ask you something. Who's worse in your mind? The guy who paid the ticket, who loves Brad Marchand, or the dude who had somebody pick up his piss-soaked phone?
Oh, the piss-soaked phone, dude. That guy had no fucking. Okay. Like, that guy had.
Right.
Yeah,
if you went after ticket-paying guy more than that guy.
Yeah, no. Piss phone guy. I don't know what the fuck
Plot
he was
twist.
thinking.
RA was the guy to pay the ticket.
Plus, dude, what ticket is $10, dude? Like, put fucking 220s and a 10 down. Like, that was only all you can see was $10.
Speaking of tickets, you should have seen the ones that Biebs and Matthews had at the UFC fight. By the way, I don't know if I thanked the people from UFC yet. David Shaw was one of them. I'm going to get the other couple names of the people I got to thank for getting me the tickets. I was up a few rows, obviously. I wasn't with Biebs and Matthews on the
advantage if you fought them,
and then 4 rows back, still on like court side, were the Coyotes guys. So it went from like mega stars to up in the the 20th row. But I tell you what, I love.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Oh no, what do you mean?
I'm saying walking in like. Matthews next to Bieber. I think Freddie Anderson's behind him, and the camera just totally pans to Biebs. It's like, hey, pigeon hockey.
So let's give Freddie Anderson
compared to him.
We got to give Freddie Anderson the clout here more so than the other two. He looked good. He looked great. He looked like he was ready to go.
ESPN's account said, Justin Bieber shows up for the fights and completely ignored the fact Austin Matthews was next to him. So they better clean that shit up before. They better clean that shit up before they pick up.
Yeah, the new rights holders.
Yes,
come on, ESPN. Clean it on.
People are photoshopping shit in my stream. Yeah, they knew who Biebs was. They didn't know who Austin was. So better clean that shit up before the season starts.
I love how cool clothes now are like leisure suits. You can dress so comfy and look sick if you're these young.
I've been on the jogging pants for years. I wear jogging pants as much. They got all the fancy colors on them. They kind of ripped off the guy from Forrest Gump who created the smiley face. All of a sudden, the smiley face is cool again. What's going on here, Brunelli? Tell me what's going on with these
Some people hate. All right, people hate Forrest Gump, right? There's lunatics out there.
I think there's a small minority who do. I mean,
what a movie!
Forrest Gump is I wouldn't say universally admired, but it's definitely admired by a lot of people. I don't know that it's like aged into like this thing where like you have to see it. I think it was of the time, these special effects or something, but there's no real fucking message to Forrest Gump. There's no like overarching thing.
Just to feel good though.
Yeah, no, epitome of a popcorn movie. I'm not knocking it, but I mean, maybe for the more like critical cinephile types, like, Forrest Gump is a popcorn movie, but there is a timeless quality to it. But at the same time, I don't think there's any like true bold statements.
If you put
when he leans his head and the kid leans his head at the end, like, come on,
subtle detail. Hey, I'll tell you what. If I put Forrest Gump on a cross country flight, I'd cry 20 times.
I'll tell you
I'd cry my dick off in my living room, let alone 30,000 feet in the air. People would be like calling the stewardesses, like, I'd be giant
opening up the exit door.
Is crying.
The motherfucking thing had no business beating Pulp Fiction for Best Picture. I'll tell you that, though. No business whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean,
if it didn't have cocaine in it, it ain't cool enough for me.
That was heroin she snorted, Biz. Get your facts straight. Where the extra 200 went.
Oh, geez, the edgy level just kicked her up a gear. Jeez, Tarantino, tone her down, man.
Wasn't Jenny snorting some bad shit in Forrest Gump?
Oh, I thought he was talking about Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, weed. She was snorting weed.
Jenny was snorting cocaine in Pulp Fiction in addition to injecting heroin and dude, I honestly, like, let's get into Jenny Gump for a second. I think she's one of the most maligned characters in film history. I don't know if it's just straight up because she's a woman and guys hate her or whatever, but she's like, oh, she sucked in that movie. It's like, dude, she was a victim of fucking like child sexual abuse, who was a fucked up person because of what happened when she was a kid. That's why she became a drug addict and like fell into all these unsavory characters. That was the whole point of her character, was like, man, when kids get fucking traumatized like this, they don't have normal adults. So when people shit on Jenny Gump, it's like, man, you missed the point of the movie. Like, she had such trauma imposed.
That's a great call, Ray. And they have the scene where she's throwing stuff at the trailer she grew up in being demolished.
Wait, the funniest part about all this is he said that movie didn't teach us any life lessons, and he is just rifling them off right now.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you're
like, there was nothing of significance, dude. It was like,
well, this is just
this is significant.
Dunking on himself. I love this.
I mean, all
I'll
time.
Just shut up now.
The guy's sitting on the bus stop the whole time. He's at his stop. It was a perfect way to, like, dude, you're here. You could have been with little Forrest for the last, what did they name him, R.A.? Trivia question. What was his name?
His name's Forrest, she says to him, right?
The kid was Forrest Jr.? Yeah. I just got it right?
Yeah, because that's, what's his face? Haley Joel Osment from The Sixth Sense. By the way, if we're talking about Oscar ripoffs.
Oh, no. And sorry, the last thing before the head nod is he can't even ask, like, is he, like, dumb like me, or is he okay? When she says no, he's like, not, he's not like you, whatever,
Yeah, stupid.
And he's so happy. It's just, what a movie.
Oh, and the other thing too is like, she dick teased Forrest Gump. It's like, no. He visited her at college, and it's on her fault. He nutted in his shorts before they got to the deed. Like, that's what the scene happened. She was gonna bang him in college, and like, he needed Roman swipes. Unfortunately, he didn't have
there
one
before.
on him.
Yeah,
been there before.
Like, round 2 only gets better.
And Biz also.
Oh, now it won't wake up.
I just said,
and that's where the drugs come in. Just got to give me about 45 here. Let me take a quick nap. She wake up. She's gone.
But Forrest Gump Jr., he got fucked when he was in The Sixth Sense. He should have won Best Supporting Actor. He lost to Michael Caine for The Sight of House Rules, which is the most boring-ass movie ever. That kid was phenomenal in that movie. He should have got 5 Oscars that year, but Michael Caine was Michael Caine, so they gave it to him.
Did he ever turn into a... Now, this could be so dumb. Did he do a lot, like, as an adult? He's an adult now. Is he still in stuff?
He's been in a few movies. What show was he on recently? I think he might have popped up on Entourage in one of the last few seasons of Entourage.
He kind of got a little heavier, right? And like, he played it. He played a. I remember now. He's in Entourage.
Yeah,
kind of like you could tell it didn't really end up going for him into his an adult life. Like he had it ripping it as a youngster.
That's lightning in a bottle stuff, man. Like, he was the right age, the right level.
But it's hard for him. You imagine that's got to be really hard on a guy who's had all his success at 10 to 14 years old. And then all of a sudden, like, you don't have the look to do it. And it's not really any fault of his own.
You could get really fucked up as a child star.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the, because think about it. There's really no,
you're not normal.
It's like, you got to continue to be a bigger star right from the age of like 5 to 10.
Well, you don't experience
normal. It's not
being younger and like kids just calling each other out and just living a normal life that any kid would live. You just never, everyone's just telling you the greatest from the time you can remember. It's like,
you need to get slapped around a little bit.
Boom.
But, Sixth Sense, that was one of the all-time fucking.
I got the shit kicked out of me on the basketball court one time. Kid stole the basketball from me. I went to get it back. He put the basketball down and just slammed me to the ground. I still have a scar on my back.
Yeah, I
didn't deserve it.
I got in a couple street fights early on. One of the first girls I was seeing, like her ex went to the school over, ended up brawling his buddy on her front lawn. He got me good. He popped me right in the nose. He didn't break it. Yeah.
So were you ever a part of? I was talking to my buddies the other day. I never was a part of one of these because, as you guys know, I hate fighting. Where like at school at noon, it's like, hey, after school, 3:00, and then everyone's gonna go there. Did you ever have one of those?
There was
where all day you knew it was coming.
I was 10, I was fourth grade,
so. That fight I ended up having on the front lawn, I thought it was going to happen between me and the guy. He ended up sending in the pit bull, the tougher buddy.
That's unfair.
But yeah, no, he got me good. I mean, that's one of the few. I mean, one time I was in what was the area called in St. Catharines? But I think this guy was a cop, and like. He was being a hardo. Like when I'm out drinking, I'm just having a good time. I'm not looking for scraps.
What are you, 18?
No, I was playing pro at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you what, in my head, I was there with my buddy. So this guy was just looking for one. And I was like, well, hey, I'm walking out, but if you want one, we can do it outside. So he came out. And
when you say looking for one, coming up to you chirping or just being a prick to everyone at the bar?
He was just kind of, it was just
he wanted a tilt.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to be the one to be like, yeah, I think he needs an ass kicking. So let's go outside and do it. And I had him in great position. I'd gotten with him a couple. Then he was on the ground. And the next thing all I remember is my buddy was holding me. And he but my butt, I don't know so that's the thing. So I was like, I remember where I had him and where I was. And then he said, his buddy came in and got you. So my buddy was,
What'd your buddy do?
Dude, it was like boom on the ground. And I'll tell you what, my buddy Squirrel, Matt Soika, he's not a big guy.
I fed him once.
He's not.
He loves clam chowder and the wood to Charlestown.
He was holding me up. I think he was more concerned about my health because he was worried that because I said, like there was a period of time where I wasn't home. So I went home and.
Well, that's why we're talking about him, but nothing dumber than a bar fight. Like,
that's
just
the thing.
Like nowadays. I mean, forever you see the right punch hits his head dead. Dude, it's just so.
That's
stupid.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I had a bit of a, I was a bit of a squirrely one, I guess. I was just kind of always like, that kid. If like I was kind of challenged, I was like, fuck, I'll go.
Yeah, you were game on.
And then
I was flight, you were fight.
But the thing is, we talk about the Wilkes-Barre incident all the time. When I ended up getting sent down to the coast, it almost ruined my career. Because I remember when I was in Wilkes-Barre, I got out of the truck because the guy threw a piece of pizza at my car.
Yeah, like who cares?
So I got who cares? Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And at that, up until that point in my life, I couldn't do it. So I guess we're going through morals of life here. We went through
of Forrest friggin' Gump.
Well, hey, you know what? Like they say in the movie, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Well, you know what else you don't know what you're going to get?
An ad.
Unrestricted free agency. Carolina has given UFA Dougie.
In your face, Wit, not an ad, bitch.
That was dunking. That was teeing up for such an ad read. And I was like, people are going to puke. But I love UFA because I got paid a little bit because I was going to be one in a few years. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Dougie Hamilton, he was given permission by Carolina to talk to other teams. Of course, he's going to be UFA when the season ends. I know it's typically July 1st. It's been recalibrated for the crazy season. Elliot Friedman said that opens the potential for a sign-and trade, which I don't know why an NHL team would do that considering UFA opens up. But he also mentioned that allows for Dougie Hamilton to see what kind of offer Carolina makes. So it's just kind of an unusual thing where a guy's going to be UFA for a team to say, hey, go see what we can find out there. But it happened. What do you think on it? Is it a big deal? Is it just kind of, it's not standard operating procedure, is it?
It's not at all. It's not at all. And Elliot was writing, it's interesting to see it go down because now he's going to be able to, does Carolina give him what he wants?
At him.
Yeah, he can just totally, and good for him. This is what you do. You take advantage of a situation that you're put in. Biz, I got a question for you. Do you think it's more? I kind of think it's an intelligent thing. Now, I guess you say advantage to Dougie Hamilton, correct? I think that this is a genius move by Carolina to now set the market and know what it's going to be, where maybe they have the opportunity to match. Correct? Well, it's like, hey, go find out what the team's going to give you.
Go find a bigger dick.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they're like, honey. Maybe they're also saying is like, yeah, we're not maybe necessarily that confident in the market, and maybe teams that would even be willing to pay him and. And can they even afford to do so? I mean, he's from Toronto, so Toronto's cut came up. I don't think they have cap space to bring him in.
I don't know what he wants, but
because he's.
Do you think he wants to go to Toronto? I mean, he kind of begged out of Boston.
Not even saying that he does. Not even saying that he does, right? But I'm saying is like, I wonder, given with the COVID situation and the flat cap, what does a D-man like him command? Now, people from Carolina are saying, let him walk. Let him walk. Slavin was carrying him when they were paired up. Well, I guess I've also seen online that that's not actually the case. His advanced stats say that he actually was better. But I'm saying is like, listen, this is the top free agent defenseman on the market right now, correct? I don't think anybody else is a close second.
Yeah, UFA's. I don't know who'd you put above him right now.
So, but also, what are you giving Dougie Hamilton? And how old is he right now?
27.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, Biz, how about this? I guess you saying
he's probably looking at a Petro deal then. I would say that's a pretty fair number.
Yeah, because and the shop yourself out, it allows him to sign and trade for the 8-year deal to get the extra year on it.
Right.
And
exactly.
so Petro got the 8 years, correct? Or did he only get 7 because he was UFA? Yeah, he finished with St. Louis, so he was only able to get 7. And he could have had 6 for all I fucking know. Can we look that up right now, please, G? Petro's contract.
No, I'm glad you mentioned the extra year, so that's why the sign and trade's a fact.
So my question was going to be, and that's before you said some Hurricanes fans, you read or let him go, but do you think it's more important for Carolina to keep him or Brind'Amour as the coach? Like if you had to lose one, it's just total. I don't think
just a random question.
Yes.
If they let's say they didn't have the money to sign either. I know I would say 100% you keep Brind'Amour. What's going to be difficult is that's obviously a hard player to match. But then the way you have to look at it is like, can we go out and get 2 players at a $4 million number that could replace to our lineup of what he were to bring? Now, where you also have the advantage is you are able to sign him for that 1 extra year. If let's say he finds out what that number is that another team's willing to give him, and come back and maybe take that extra year and drop down the AVV a little bit if he's happy in Carolina. The only concern, especially nowadays, is how on average these big deals end up turning out on the wrong foot. Right? He's 27. I still think that's a good age to lock a guy up, even if you had to do so for 8 years. Whereas, you also are concerned in years, 5, 6, 7, 8 about what you're paying him as opposed to what he's bringing. But I don't know, man.
By the way, like he's Pesce looks nice. Like if he gets some more power play time, thinking of righties on the team, and you could make an argument that they with what they could spend on a couple other guys to get more deep, and also having Pesce maybe run the power play. Now, who knows if that's a possibility and if he'd be as remotely good as Hamilton, but at least there's options here where I think that Carolina is comfortable, and let's at least go out and allow him to see what he can get, and we'll know right away if we're in or out based on number.
And I think the one other thing that we haven't mentioned was the fact that they would probably get at least a draft picked out of it, right? If they could work that out beforehand.
Well, they'll get some
type
they're
of
going to
compensation.
He wants them to get him over there because he gets that extra 8th year, and they're going to want something in return.
Right. So it's kind of like a very amicable thing that's happening.
What's funny, is the team where Hamilton's signing, they really don't care because they're actually saving a year. Do you know what I mean? Like if he wanted to go to a team that bad, they're hoping that they don't trade him, right? And then he just chooses your first day of UFA and you only have to give him 7 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, they will make a deal to make him happy, but if you asked them deep down, they'd rather give him 7 years.
Yeah, it's interesting because
that's a great point.
It's a scenario we don't usually see in these type of situations, man. Like teams saying, hey, go get what you can and whatever, check back or don't.
I also think this is Carolina understanding this is a very, very valuable piece on the market, and probably I would say even if you add the forwards in, he might be the biggest name free agent this offseason, and a reason why we're talking about it.
Gabriel Landeskog.
Oh, Landeskog. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. My bad.
Right.
My bad.
All right, moving right along, we get some coaching news as well. The Jack Adams nominees were announced. Speaking of Hot Rod Brind'Amour, he's one of them. Minnesota's Dean Everson is the other, and Florida's Joe Quenneville is the third. Personally, I think this is Dean Everson's to lose. Quenneville's a great coach. I don't know, Florida had a pretty good roster. Brind'Amour's done it for a couple of years. I don't think anybody expected Minnesota to make the leap that they did this year. They're a pretty significant team in the chatter about the NHL all year. So if I had a vote, it's going to Dean Everson.
I can't argue with that. I mean, whenever these awards come up, not all the awards, but Jack Adams, it seems like you can make a case for anyone. I mean, I think that Quenneville did turn Florida around, but like you said, that roster's nice. They spent a lot of money. Brind'Amour, if you gave it to Brind'Amour or Everson, I think either one of those guys, 50-50.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. And RA, to go back to what you said about Landeskog, would the argument be one and who gets the bigger contract next as far as bigger free agent?
That's a good question, man. I mean,
because
I'm going to say Hamilton will get more money.
Yeah,
so
he might. I mean, it's a coin
I think
flip.
Hamilton's bigger, Biz. I'm with you.
Boys,
Don't talk about our
I got Grinelli. I got Grinelli. I got the whole Drew crew. All the cool kids are on my side, RA.
I like not even being involved in this argument.
All right, Larry Brooks, this just came over the wire just as we started to record. The Rangers have reached an agreement with Gerard Gallant to be the next head coach for the New York Rangers. Nothing official yet, but Brooks, he's pretty wide in. I'm sure that'll go down. I guess I'm a little mildly surprised by this, guys. I mean, Chris Drury's calling the shots, presumably for who the new coach is going to be. He's, I'm assuming, done in his homework. He's well regarded around the league and with many folks. So, of his decision, it's probably not a bad one, given that it's Drury. But I guess I'm just surprised that he went with Gerard Gallant for some reason.
I think if you're looking for a type of guy who's a player's coach and is going to be light to play for, I don't think Gallant's the guy who's ever going to bark and scream. Not even in the media. He's going to figure out who's playing well enough to give that ice time in that role. I think that's probably his biggest strength, is being like essentially a good motivator wit. I don't think he's a massive X's and O's guy. I don't think he's, I don't think he's giving like a massively amount of time and thought into the game plan. I think he's good on the bench at reading maybe who needs to go out next.
Yeah, I wouldn't really argue with that. I think guys do love playing for him. But when you say you're surprised, Ari, I mean, the way he got let go in Florida, everyone was shocked. Shout out to the yellow cab they got him. That was bullshit. And then Vegas, I think at the time we talked about, like, DeBoer's, has a reputation as one of the top coaches in the game, and he was available. And we thought maybe Vegas said, like, we're not playing the way we should. We think we can. DeBoer's available. Let's make this jump now. But he's won a Jack Adams. He won a Memorial Cup. This guy's a good coach. And now you're getting to a team in New York that is already kind of ahead where people thought they would be in terms of their rebuild and how everything's been revamped. And I don't know. I kind of like the hire because it's a little different where I think David Quinn was probably harder on guys than Gallant will be. Now, I don't know how it's going to go down in terms of you got to get guys to play a certain way. And I think there was maybe times, right, where like Zibanejad maybe isn't willing to go on the D side of the puck and kind of wants to play a different way. And Gallant's going to have to get him to play a certain way, but he does it with these teams. He gets these guys, they play four lines, and they end up being a team that's pretty hard to play against. So I like the hire. I think it'll be good. The question is what they're going to do with Zibanejad there, because he's RFA. And he's had 1 year where he was a superstar. I mean, this year he was 26th in the league in scoring, right? He's going to want a ton of money. Like, yeah, I don't think any Rangers fan. What? Go ahead.
I was going to say I'd be weary of what they're going to give him, given and not to criticize his play, but it was done in the junk time when they knew they weren't going to make playoffs, right? Is that, remember when he went on that massive run?
No, the whole year prior of the pandemic, he lit it up. And I think they were like in the playoffs when the pandemic came.
And then to start this year, he was not good. And then when they were kind of out of it is where you saw a lot. And remember, I think in like a 3 or 4 game span, he ended up having like 20 points. So you can't get lost in the overall numbers. You have to remember what he did throughout the full span of time. Now, but it could also be argued the other way. It's like, yeah, it's a pandemic year, and his sample size as far as what his numbers are through his career.
He's going to want a lot of dough.
He's going to want a lot of dough.
And they got to figure it out, because then they have Lafreniere coming up, and who knows what he turns into. And they got all these younger guys. Can Kakko demand to be paid a lot of money soon? I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, the reason I like the Gallant hire is because I think it's going to maybe ease off and allow maybe some of these younger guys who have not found their way, find their way. And Gallant just seems like the type of guy, he's just like, go out there and play. Now, and that's what he had through that with the outcasts in Vegas, a bunch of guys who had some game, who maybe had it been stripped from them because they hadn't been put in those situations and hadn't been given them the ice time. And also, when you're making a mistake, he's not the type of guy who's losing his fucking mind and sitting you and I think it's a great hire where these younger guys and these skilled players would flourish.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not opposed to the hire. I was just surprised it happened. Maybe because Drury's a younger guy, he's a younger GM. I was maybe assuming he would go with somebody fresher or somebody who hadn't been in the league before. Again, that was just an assumption. But yeah, Gallant's track record speaks for itself. I'm not opposed to the hire. I think if Glenn Sather was still in charge, this was the movie he would have made. So when Drury made it, I thought it would have been a guy who maybe didn't have a head coaching job before, just more for the youth factor. So,
well, I mean, you got to look at other candidates too. Rick Tocchet, I heard, interviewed twice for them. He's another big name head coach. And then did someone else just get hired as a head coach?
Well, bingo, nice segue. Columbus named Brad Larson their next head coach. He was the assistant for the last 7 seasons to Torts and Todd Richards. He coached AHL Springfield the 2 years before that. So the guy certainly paid his dues within the organization. He'll be the 8th coach in Columbus Blue Jacket history. Tocchet and Gallant also interviewed for that job as well, but the organization decided to keep it in-house with the guys familiar with the system, familiar with the players in the program, and they named Brad Larson the coach.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Well, I was going to ask, are there any more availabilities as far as head coaching jobs right now?
The Arizona?
Seattle.
Well, right, Arizona, but I'm talking more for Rick Tocchet because I think that is Buffalo still okay. So it's still vacant. So I would say that Tocchet's probably the biggest name free agent head coach available still.
All right.
Go
ahead, quickly back to the Drury thing where he hire a guy who never coached the NHL. I think it's tough first time as GM to go with somebody who hasn't been in the league.
Yeah, you're right.
Would take in New York City,
and I think it was between him and Tocchet.
Hey, yeah. So when does Seattle's got to hire a coach? No,
I think they're waiting for the Brindamore situation to play out.
Yeah, and also
100%.
This just came over. G just sent this from Joe McDonald, who's covered the Bruins here and hockey in the extensive New England area for a while. Here in the Buffalo Sabres would like to interview Jack Capuano for head coaching position, but the Senators are not allowing him the opportunity. So,
that's tough if you're Jack Capuano. That's kicking the dick.
Yeah, he's a guy who hasn't. I don't think he's been a head coach since his Islanders days. So,
funny hairdo when he was head coach.
Here's a hot take for me. I think that if which I would imagine happens, Brindamore stays in Carolina, that Tocchet might get hired in Seattle. I think he's going to get hired because there's also connection there. I think Francis was on the team, and we might have talked about this before when they won their cups in Pittsburgh. So there's a connection there as well. And I just said I think he's the biggest name now as far as availability because Gallant's gone.
Also, Providence coach Jay Leach interviewed for the Arizona job as well. Bill Armstrong had coached him back when they were in Trenton and the East Coast League together back in the day. And when Leach played at Providence College, Armstrong was the coach of Providence. So they got a history together as well.
You also said Van Ryan, right, in Arizona?
I did not, but
I think he's another guy that's getting interviewed. There's also a connection there between St. Louis when they were there together. So that's just the other name I've heard popped up. So Coyotes might have their next head coach soon.
All right. Well, boys, one thing I do not miss when I work for Barstool is job hunting. It can be miserable and stressful, bad experience a lot of times, and ZipRecruiter knows that. ZipRecruiter wants to help make things easier for all the job seekers out there, which is why they're teaming up with Barstool right now to help us find the newest upcoming interns to join the pirate ship this summer. By going to ZipRecruiter.com, you can see all the upcoming opportunities open for this summer. ZipRecruiter attracts the best candidates for us as employees, and as a job seeker, it's so easy to use. When you sign up, you can create a free profile to get matched to great jobs, plus ZipRecruiter will proactively pit your profile to employees whose jobs match your experience. Candidates who are invited to apply on ZipRecruiter are nearly 3 times as likely to get hired. Plus, if you like the job, you could apply to it and many others with just one click. It's that easy. No wonder it's the #1 rated job site in the U.S. So go to ZipRecruiter.com, sign up for free, and put ZipRecruiter to work for you. And don't forget, you can even search Barstool and apply right now for our upcoming internship opportunities. No matter what type of job you're interested in, experience the better way to find it at ZipRecruiter.com. A couple of the hockey notes here. Steven Johns, who was a defenseman for the Dallas Stars, he's going out on a roller hockey adventure. I'm going to read his Instagram right here. So obviously can't play the audio. He said, someone asked me the other day what I like to do for fun, and I didn't give him an answer because I don't have one. I'm writing this post because I'm tired of letting depression destroy my life. The realization that my career has come to an end has fucked with my identity. Has really fucked with my identity. What I'll miss most about the game of hockey is providing inspiration. So I've decided to rollerblade and road trip across the country to hopefully help others facing their own battles. I'll be documenting along the way to share my full story because I know what it feels like to be alone. For me, I watched one video and it changed my life and made me want to do this crazy thing. If I can still inspire one person to climb out of their hole, then that's a successful trip and exactly what I'm aiming for. peace and love. I mean, it's quite an adventure to take on, Biz, at this stage. I mean, the kid just stopped playing hockey recently, and obviously he's had some, difficulties that he's bringing out to the forefront here. So, I mean, hats off to Steven Johns for doing this, man. It's not
and
easy.
And opening up and letting himself be vulnerable there. It's awesome. So any support that we can throw his way. What's his Instagram? Do you have his name there?
It's
I know it's
S_Johns 28. So S_JOHNS, because people can't spell anymore with the number 28. S_JOHNS 28. So if you want to chime in or donate or do whatever you can to help, by all means, check them out on Instagram.
And guys, you're coming out of a situation where you played hockey your whole life, and now you're into the real world, and it's difficult. I'm sure, Whit, you had your certain struggles. I had my struggles. I talked about it on the Ring Shrink. Actually, I went on their podcast, and really awesome that he opened up and that he's doing all this. So any type of support that our fans can send him, do so now.
Speaking of street hockey and roller hockey, guys, we are next week. We're going to open up registration for the street hockey tournament in Detroit, which will take place August 6th and August 7th. I'll post a link on all of our social medias where you can do it, how you can do it. But tournament.
Are we doing like tiers in terms of like skill level?
Yeah, there's different divisions. There's an
Nice.
A level, B level, C level, and D level, just like the pond hockey. There's a co-ed, there's street hockey, there's roller hockey. We're breaking out all the stuff.
This is going to be a time in Detroit.
It's going to be unreal. The setup is so fucking cool. There's bars already getting involved. There's going to be tons of Pink Whitney involved. We have some NHL players who are actually already reserved the team to play. So it's going to be a blast. So definitely get your boys together and get a video going.
We should get Johns maybe to get him a team and maybe raise a little bit of money for whatever charity he's raising money for. That'd be awesome. He's obviously part of the Blade gang, but that's cool.
I'm actually dying to try the Detroit slice of pizza. It looks sort of like a Sicilian slice, but I guess Detroit has its own type of pizza. I'm very much looking forward to trying that.
They serve it at Borelli's.
You went to Cranbrook.
Borelli's has Detroit style pizza. It's awesome.
All due respect to them, I kind of want to try one. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to be serving it.
Yeah.
Did it say where he's starting?
Why do you tie my fucking shoelaces? What
did it say where he's starting his journey?
I don't have it in front of me. I mean, I pulled up his Instagram. I don't know if he has that all mapped out yet or not, or what, to be honest with you. I just read
it's hard. You've said it, Biz. We've brought it up a lot, and it's not just the NHL, it's any sport. And I think millions of people are all, I don't need to hear it. Everyone's got a difficult life. You made millions, big money playing a pro sport. Everyone has their battles. But when you're done with what you've done your entire life, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what to do. And for him to put that out there, I really feel for guys like that a lot and hope that they find their way. And I think he's just more than anything looking at like, I don't know what's up. Let's just see where this takes me. And it is very honorable because it's definitely not an easy time in his life.
Love it. Well said, Whip.
Yep, exactly. Well said. Yeah, I don't know if he's got it mapped out yet, Biz, but obviously we'll keep folks up to date as soon as we know. And moving right along here, we're not going to name it, but there was a particular shop online that posted odds on the next team to leave town for the four major sports. The Oakland A's were the favorite at plus 110. The Arizona Coyotes were that's the next team plus 350, along with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Tampa Bay Rays plus 350, Sacramento Kings plus 550, Memphis Grizzlies plus 950, Oklahoma City Thunder plus 1,200, and the Cincinnati Bungles plus 1,500. I think Oakland A's are pretty much a guarantee that they're gone. They basically the owners tried to extort a new stadium from the public, and they were like, fuck you. Like, because the public is wising up to this shit when owners that were worth billions of dollars, like, build our stadium, and the public tells them to screw. If they leave, big deal, because a lot of these times when they build stadiums, like we see in Miami, the public takes a bath on it. Like, the politicians want to kiss the owner's ass. It doesn't work out in the long run. So the A's, they're looking at Vegas right now. They could be the third Las Vegas team in the last few years, which further indicates how hypocritical all these sports leagues were for years, saying, oh, we can't have a team in Vegas. Then teams will take a dive because of the gambling, which is like the stupidest fucking argument ever. And now they're about to put
that was the card they were playing back then.
Yeah, basically, as if there wasn't like $600 billion illegally gambled elsewhere in the fucking world. But yeah, that was the card they would always play. So
did you bring that up because did you bring that whole thing up because Coyotes were on the list?
Well, it came across the timeline. I mean, I sent it to the thread the other day. Yeah, I mean, not just because
it won't. You know why it won't happen? Because if it even comes near that, I'm going to reach out to all you Spittin Chiclets fan, and we're going to do what they did with the Green Bay Packers. The fans are going to own the team, so you could have your stake in the Arizona Coyotes, and I'll run the charge.
Yeah.
You know
what Green Bay ownership thing is worth right here. That's if you own Green Bay Packers like ownership. That's
you
all
watch your mouth about my Packers and my Coyotes, RA. Okay, I got enough problems with Aaron Rodgers not showing up to camp.
Means nothing. All right, hey, we gotta shift it over to Whit. Well, we can either talk about the sick league or we can talk about golf. Whit, what do you want to go with first?
I put Whit to sleep.
I don't know. I mean, golf is just a horrible loss for that kid. Cheston Hadley bogeyed the last 3 holes. What's crazy is he's won one time on tour. It's the Puerto Rico Open. Biz, nobody who's ever won that tournament has won again on PGA Tour. It's like a legit
curse. Whammy. Holy shit.
In AHL?
I think somebody won again, but it was that tournament again. So I felt bad for him.
RA won more than the purse.
RA hit the bet of the year.
So he won more than the purse of that tournament.
We'll delete this after. I don't know who's listening, but yeah, I had dude. What's crazy? We talk about my golf bets all the time. I'm not the fan that you are. I got friends who listen. They'll tell me bet this guy, bet that guy. I never heard of Garrick. Is it Higo or Higo?
Higo. He's a young South African. I don't even know if we're saying his name correctly.
22 years old. Never heard of the guy before the other day. I literally saw his name and threw a bet on it. And he was 48-1. And I put the TV on Sunday afternoon, and I actually had bet Harris English as well, who was 30-1. He was 1 stroke back to start the day. So all my was like, oh man, English is right there. That's all you want when you bet golf. A guy in the running on the last day. A guy a stroke back is even ideal because he might be less likely to choke. Well, English had a rough fucking day. Well, lo and behold, I always get ace and eagle confused. He was 2 under par.
It's the same thing.
Same thing, right? Okay, well, there we go. He aced the hole in the front 9. He gets within 2. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, he's 1 back. The fucking leader bogeyed the last 3 holes. So in the last hole, I'm sitting there watching on Instagram. If the guy hits the shot, it's a playoff with my guy. If he misses, I win. And he fucking missed like a 15-footer, like way wide. And I went 48 to 1 when I hit, like, because the guy missed a putt, and he was 4 strokes back, Biz, going into the back 9. He got a couple of birdies. The other guy hit 3 bogeys in a row. And I finally after talking about my gambling bets for 10 years, hit a pretty good size winner here.
If I can hop in there. Now, I didn't know the story. That's an awesome way to see it all go down.
I don't think he had a hole in one. I know I said it was the same thing.
No,
it's not.
No, not a hole in one, but he had an eagle.
An eagle.
An eagle. 2 under par.
And we're not going to say the number, but I'll tell you what, when you told me what you won, I was thrilled for you, buddy. I got so excited. There's certain numbers that get me moving. That number got me moving.
Yeah, he usually has a dollar sign in front of him. So, yeah, that was fun. And now moving on to the sick league with the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, this is the biggest joke ever. Like, Kevin Durant gets into like barely a pushing match with the guy. I think it was PJ Tucker or the guy, whoever the hell it was on Milwaukee. His own fucking private security guard runs to the court and like puts his hands on the guy in Milwaukee. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like you're his private security guard off the court. Like during the court stuff, that's not your position to run out there.
It's insane.
Absolute joke and embarrassment that you need a grown man to come out. And no one's even throwing punches, dude. They're like fucking talking shit to each other's face. And the guy comes on the court to defend them. Brutal, dude. Absolutely. I like the NBA players, but that's such a bad look.
Wait, you should hire him for your trip to Borelli's.
No, I got
yeah, wait that table. Here's 100.
No, I got Glenny Balls. Who else? Big Ev. All the big boys. Maybe Doug's will walk in front of me.
Dana White. I'm thinking of the UFC. Dana Beers.
That'll be shit-faced. What's he gonna do? Yeah, it was all right. You kind of said it all. I mean, I don't even know how that's allowed. Like, that guy should be banned from the building. He ran on the court. Like, he's not in the game. He's not on the roster. Although I think somebody said on Twitter that he's paid by the Nets. He's an employee of the Nets.
Even if so, though, like, that's not his space to jump into. Like, it wasn't on the street. It wasn't waiting in line for a bar. It's like, no, that's his area of work. Like, that's like, someone run into a cubicle and fucking getting you back.
So wait, so the team hired a bodyguard to be able to
I don't
go
know
route?
if this is correct. I think it's his personal security, but technically he might end up being an employee of the Nets. I kind of threw that out there reading a tweet, right? It was a little irresponsible of me, as you want to call me a journalist.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how to the level of bullying these NBA players have gotten if they got their own personal security guards on salary by the team.
Yeah, and I'm sure Durant probably does buy the Nets. But regardless of who pays the bill, the fact that like the guy ran on the court and like not only that, he put his hands on fucking Tucker, man. He should have. I mean, because if he suckers the security guy, then he's gonna get suspended. But I'd be like, fuck you, dude. You don't work here. Like this ain't your place of employment. Get the fuck off my court.
Yeah,
I don't know. This is a bad look for the NBA. Bad look for Durant too. All right, moving right along. I wrote a blog Saturday. I know you guys are a little younger than me, but it was the 40th anniversary of Raiders of the Lost Ark. For my money, the best action adventure movie of all time. So I spent about 900, 1,000 words praising it. I was interested to see if you guys had any other options for the best action adventure movie of all time.
Not much of an action guy.
I would say the revolutionary ones as I grew up.
What do you mean revolutionary? Like the legendary ones, you mean, kind of?
So what you're saying is the fact that at the time there was no special effects. Like they had to make these scenes happen and then capture them as the ball was actually rolling. And right, is that kind of what you mean?
What they were called then is practical effects, which means they were actual physical things and not computer generated. However, though, there were some. Raiders of the Lost Ark was very early on the computer generated stuff because George Lucas created the company Industrial Light and Magic. So at the end, when he opens the ark and all the ghosts come out, that stuff is actually a lot of computer generated stuff. So that was actually at the forefront of it. But the majority of the effects, actual stunts, actual practical effects, like, yeah, that giant ball that he outruns, that was a 300-pound ball of like fiberglass and, plywood and whatever else it was made of. And if that actually hit Harrison Ford, he would have been fucked up. I mean, if that was a real stone, it would have weighed like 6,000 pounds. But yeah, the effects were actual things. So it wasn't guys plugging into a computer like we see in so many other movies now. Every movie basically, where it's a bunch of ones and zeros and you see it on the screen. They actually had to make these stunts happen, make these things happen. So that's why it's so much better than so many other movies. Like I love Mad Max, Fury Road, Terminator 2, but they had to actually make these things happen on film and film it. It wasn't just like putting shit in a computer.
Would you consider? I'm trying to think of what would be considered an action movie.
I just looked up one that I think of and I loved the movie. I was 11. True Lies. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's
a big time action movie. Yes, remember the girl danced in it. Like, I was 11. I was 11 during that.
I was 11 during Trading Places. Spot on.
Do it. Do some more.
Oh my God! Yeah, True Lies. I just had to Arnold Schwarzenegger IMDb because I couldn't think of the name of the movie. Great action movie.
Yep, 100%. And all these movies you named, they're worthy competitors. I think there was action movies before Raiders, and then there were action movies after. And then the worst part is like all these. I don't even want to acknowledge it because it's almost like giving it credence. But like that fucking nerd show, The Big Bang Theory, that was on CBS somehow for like 9 years.
Worst show ever.
Worst show ever. Like the girlfriend was like, oh, even if he wasn't even in that movie, the same thing happens. And like, so all these nerds like run with that same theory. It's like, what are you talking about? Like if he wasn't in the movie, like they would have never found the fucking act. Like it just makes no sense. And all these other nerds like pig pile on it.
She said if Harrison Ford didn't play.
She said, with or without him, the Nazis find the Ark, open it, and die. It's like, well, wait a minute. You're assuming that the Nazis still find the Ark without him. It's like they only found him because they found him fucking digging the hole.
You know what's crazy? I didn't want to admit it. I haven't seen the movie, and you just told me the ending.
Well, no, I didn't say. Oh, yeah, I guess I did indirectly. So I usually do give a spoiler alert too. You never saw fucking.
But you know what? Listen, hey, if you get spoiler alerted on a movie from 40 years ago, it's kind of your own fault.
Yeah. By the way, Nixon cheated, and all the president's men too. But anyways, fuck Blossom and fuck that nerd show and for feeding that shit because. Like, yeah, they don't find the Ark without Indiana Jones. So when people tell you, ooh, they would have made the movie without him, it's just some fucking.
So did they say?
I never thought in a million years I'd hear RA say "fuck Blossom."
I know, seriously. Unless he said he tried to fuck Blossom. I think that if in the show on Big Bang Theory, was that the running thing, or did she say this as her own personal non-actress?
I don't know the characters on that show because I wouldn't watch it, but like one of the main characters, she was on a date with him, and they watched Raiders of the Lost Ark because like
it's a running storyline.
Okay, so we're getting mad at a fictitious person.
Exactly. And the whole, it says if he were in the movie, the Nazis still would have found the Ark, taken it to the island, opened it up, and all died, just like he did. It's like, but no, that's like you're making an assumption that things would have happened. It's like, no, it was a stupid plot point. So, anyways, when I tweeted the blog, a bunch of nerds were like, "Oh, it wouldn't have happened anyways," which is a dead giveaway that you watch.
I would say put them, whoever said that, on the list below the ESPN person that didn't mention Austin Matthews instead of Justin Bieber and.
Hey, we just bought hockey rights, and then here's the best goal scorer in the league walking in with the biggest pop star on the planet. Oh, let's not mention him. That's tough.
Whit, have you finished Mayor of Easttown yet? Or are you still chugging along?
And what a show! I mean, I don't know. Like you don't want. I don't.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil it, but you can. Holy,
that scene, dude, was. I was on the edge of my seat. I can't remember. There was a scene in True Detective season 1 that was similar, I think, with the bikers. If you remember that scene when he went in with the bikers into the ghetto.
Yeah.
That was similar to just being so like, I can't believe this is happening. What's going to happen here? Amazing acting. The storyline, the way it finished off. I thought that was a fantastic show. I cannot recommend it enough.
Love it.
Unreal.
Love to hear. Love when
looks like I'm not getting any sleep tonight.
First episode isn't good. First episode, I had to watch twice, and I got through it, whatever, and it picks up. And then episode 4 or 5, all of the end, the last 6 episodes were just so good.
And then the last episode, the girl I told you, a woman from Medford, Julia Nicholson, who plays her best friend. I mean, those couple of scenes she does are just like.
So when can we kind of talk about it? When do you talk? Like, I cannot give this away, but did you? No, I can't say anything without giving away.
Yeah, yep. I mean, I
thought sex in it.
You see. No, not really. Actually,
no tits, no nipples.
Okay, it's not a showboat. You don't watch it for sex, Biz.
I was just asking.
Well, Biz already watched the show about the strip. Remember, you said there's a show. It's strip club. He goes, I'm in.
Yeah, P Valley. By the way, it's still check P Valley out if you have stars. But no, I'm glad you liked that one because it was good. Like I said, the murder mystery is part of it, but it's also about the main character herself and like kind of everything she goes through. Biz, I know one last story you wanted to talk about. The dude I'll put in quotes, swallowed by the whale here in Cape Cod.
It was the top story, one of the top stories on Twitter. I don't know if it's true. I might believe this less than the octopus teacher.
The octopus teacher, there's video proof. It's like, this guy, was he in a whale's mouth? That's what
he's saying. He was in a whale's mouth. He got eaten by a whale, and then he was in the mouth.
It's the most elaborate tale I've ever heard. It's really hard to sit here and say that like it's 100% false, but it's 100% false. He wasn't in the whale's stomach, dude.
No, I don't think
they ever swallow you. He will.
Oh, I don't think they said that it. He's trying to say that he was all the way inside the stomach. The way I read it,
he was in his mouth.
He said the whale tried to swallow him. Is what he said.
I think what he said was he was in a compartment of this big mouth, and then kind of like the whale's like, wait a minute, I'm not really used to stuff like
this. Is undercooked.
This is something's not right here.
Anyone got a napkin?
Well, yeah, he might have like kind of tasted the rubber from his snorkel. I don't know. He was. I think he was lobster fishing at the time, but once he kind of figured it out, he thought originally it was a shark that ate him. He said, bit him. I think he said ate him, but it would have been like, no, you would have been bleeding. A shark couldn't have downed him in one bite.
It's tough.
So then he came to, figured out he was in a whale's mouth, and then he said the whale spit him out, and got back on his way. Now it was also reported that years ago he survived the plane crash where the other people on the plane ended up passing away. So maybe this guy's just got the most bizarre luck in the world.
If that's true, then it could be legit. It's really hard to call him a liar, but I think it was more than likely that Kramer actually hit the golf ball in the whale that George ended up removing when he said he was a marine biologist. If you don't watch Seinfeld, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you do, that was more likely to be the case than I think this guy getting brought into a whale's mouth.
It's funny.
Did he just get it? Did he just swim to shore? And then he's like, hey, dude, I was just in a whale's mouth, guys. And everyone's like, let's call the news. Like, you just believe him that much? You're not a little questioning, like, really?
Yeah, because again, if that whale that big, is he trying to swallow you? Is he not? There were no witnesses. Again, if it happened and the guy's getting doubted, whatever. But what's funny, there's a Twitter account called a Whale Fact, @awhalefact. And back on February 10th, 2020, it says, if a whale ever attempts to swallow you whole, just know there's been a huge misunderstanding. And then on June 11th, a couple of days ago, they retweeted their own quote and said, there has been a huge misunderstanding.
What do you mean?
Because they said back in February, if a whale ever attempts to swallow you whole, just know there's been a huge misunderstanding. And then the story broke, and then they retweeted.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't get it though.
Well, it's like some Simpsons type stuff. They already had a headline about it, and they're like, "Oh my god, this actually happened."
In other words, in other words, if the whale really tried to swallow this guy, then there's been a huge misunderstanding as far as the whale.
I thought the misunderstanding was
whales
something
don't
I was
want the
supposed to
smoke.
catch
Is
on
what
to.
the whales don't want the smoke. Is what they were saying.
Yeah, I mean whales. Yeah, I mean if they wanted to eat people, even when sharks do. Like I hate when we get these videos. Like the news was close by when sharks swim in the ocean alongside people in Miami. It's like, yeah, it's the fucking ocean. It's the Atlantic Ocean. That's where sharks are. If you didn't have people with cameras looking down on them, they're there all the time.
They're trying to make sure nobody goes in the water where the sharks are, dude.
Well, don't go down Chatham when the fucking seals are there. Don't go where the food is. It's pretty obvious, man. Like,
you don't think that people who spend all this dough to go to all these people who go to spend vacation in Chatham, like, you don't think the town should have people out there checking to make sure if there's a fucking great white right off the shore that the beach is closed?
Well, yeah, but you should know that anyways if you're going to Chatham when there's fucking.
But some days there aren't any spotted, so you can go in the water.
Anyway, I guess anywhere when I go in the ocean, I assume that there's fucking sharks there, and I just hope I don't get bit. That's. I mean, I swim in the ocean, no qualms at all. And if the
next thing you know, they're going to be at our pool and on the all-inclusive resort.
It's their home fucking. It's their home turf, man. Like you're swimming on their
home. It's a home game. It's a home game.
They're going to be playing. They're going to be sitting courtside.
Can you steal home ice? Is the question.
Yeah. All right. One last final goodbye. Ned Beatty. I know you guys are younger than me. Fantastic character actor from the 70s. He was Bobby in Deliverance. I don't know if you guys ever seen Deliverance.
Dick Tracy.
Otis and Superman. He was in Network. I was nominated for an Oscar. Just a great character actor over the years. He passed away over the weekend. So I want to give out a shout out to Otis from Superman. Just a legendary character actor. Have either of you guys seen Deliverance? That was when Burt Reynolds was in.
What did you say the actor's name is passed away?
Ned Beatty. No relation.
Oh, I thought it was Warren Beatty. I said Dick Tracy. My bad. Is that his brother?
I think that's all I got for this pod.
No, that's all we got. And hey, boys, we got to take a 20 here. We got to be back in a few hours to talk about game one, too. So let's go catch up,
see you guys
watch hockey, and we'll be back. All right, what's up, gang? We're coming to you right after the Vegas-Montreal game ended. Everybody's been waiting for a Canadian team to play a non-Canadian team all season long. Well, we got it in game one in Vegas and Montreal, and Vegas was the 4-1 victor. I'll tell you, Biz, Montreal, I thought they had good early chances in this game. Marc-Andre Fleury made an incredible save on Brendan Gallagher less than a minute into the game. Then the Habs got another 3 for $1 after that. Marc-Andre Fleury made huge saves early, and that was sort of it for Montreal. They kind of shot their wad early. Vegas takes the 1-0 lead after Shea Theodore beat Price. He kind of was looking the wrong way. Martinez made it 2-0.
Quick comers.
Yeah, quick comments. Yeah, Cole Caulfield cut it to 2-1 on the power play, his first playoff goal ever. But then Janmark made it 3-1. Holden made it 4-1, put it out of reach. So, yeah, you look at the score, Vegas dominated. But I don't know if Montreal got an early goal there. If Fleury's not in fine form, then we could be looking at a different game. But it's not, and here we are, 1-0.
It looked like they just adjusted very quickly back to kind of the way it was against Minnesota. And we talked about how they can play any type of game. And I'll tell you what, their execution just on everything, especially that first goal, like that's, Montreal's in an okay situation. All of a sudden, boom, you lose a defensive zone draw. And I can't even blame Toffoli for not getting in the lane because the way it was set up, it got snapped back pretty quickly. And McNabb just gives it that one-touch wit. And Theodore was lined up for the one-timer, but he was so like way more inside than normal. So as Toffoli as the outside winger, he just couldn't get in that lane. And by the time it was off his stick, they'd already established the net front presence. Toffoli wasn't in the lane and zing. It was a bang, bang play. You're looking at it as a coach and you're just like, that's just perfect execution by Vegas. And nothing really Carey Price could have done on it. And then you look at the other one, you just kill off the penalty, the puck over the glass. So you kind of dodge another bullet. Well, they become full strength and they have that zone entry. It was kind of a fortuitous balance of the fact that it popped out to Theodore, but the only person not fooled on planet Earth that thing was a pump fake and it going back the other way. I think his stick was at 90 degrees by the time he pump faked it and stopped it.
I think he threw his shoulder came out of his socket. Dude. That was unreal.
One of the filthiest pump fakes I've ever seen. And he's got that confidence after scoring that first goal. But that is just like, we talked about all these other guys who have gotten them to where they are. And I don't think that he'd really had I think he's been fairly quiet up to standards up until now, but all of a sudden you got him going now. I mean, they're up 2 Cobb and then one thing I would look at is Montreal is so used to playing with the lead that when you're down 2, I mean, they're not necessarily built to play from behind.
Well,
at least in the sense of a good enough team that has a goalie like Fleury and a good back end.
But they talked about it in the pregame meeting. I think some media members out there mentioned like Paul Bissonnette being a fan of the team now and wearing the gear, like you're going to go down 1-0, 2-0 easy. So they knew going in how to kind of approach it, and they made it 2-1. The fake, what a play. And I actually thought about it. I think Hedman's the best defenseman left in the playoffs, right? I think Pellick's there. But Ben Petro and Theodore, there's no one else with those two, right? Sergachev's really nice, and so is Ryan McDonough in Tampa, but Petro and Theodore together are the top 2 D-men on one team.
He's playing at that level, yeah.
And tonight, his level, and he's able to snap it out of the zone, too. He had a couple plays that started breakouts, long stretch passes. He's a horse. It was just an overall dominating performance, besides the beginning where Flower was ready and Carey Price, which could have been 7-1 easily. The save on Marchessault was sick. The Stone save, Stone's face, he started laughing basically. He's like, are you kidding me? Like I pretty much picked top right there. An awesome pass by Pacioretty, who has, actually, I don't know if he had a point tonight. Did he? But he has a point in every game of the playoffs leading up to tonight. I don't even remember if he had one tonight.
I tell you what he was doing. Couple reverse hits, Forsberg style on Sherratt. He got him pretty. Do you think that was a penalty, or do you think he got him a good bop with the shoulder? And I think it was payback for earlier. And then Sherratt ended up getting about 3 for a buck after the reverse hit. He got him with the 2 shots, and then he got him with the big cross check. And I think he knew
pissed.
He knew to lay off right after that.
The Romanov hit on Pietrangelo was ridiculous, though. He kind of tried dangling him, thinking get away with it. Kid just took the body the entire time, ran him over. That was early in the game. Interesting to see Montreal's power play. Caulfield missed a wide open net on basically the same play about 10 seconds earlier, and then they get another chance with another wide open net. So their power play was zinging it around quick. But Vegas didn't score on their opportunities. You think that'll improve, but overall, people wondered Canadian division versus another opponent, and it looked like a different league out there tonight.
When it came down to execution, for sure.
Yeah, the shots weren't crazy, and if you look at they out-hit Vegas, which for the most part, if you don't have the puck as often, you're going to out-hit them. But I just think if you look at the 2 teams top to bottom, now maybe it was one of those games where Vegas had their best and Montreal didn't, and I said that there was no chance it was like playing on the road. It was more just awesome for those Canadian guys to be in a full barn. They were probably feeling it early in that game, and they came out great. But it was just the depth, and the fourth line on Vegas played so good. Reeves is in the zone. He had a couple different chances at Carrier. He's a monster. He's from Montreal. And then Keegan Colasar, WHL guy, big body. So that entire team they look nice, man. They look like they want us out there in Vegas for that party.
Oh, yeah. Well, one game closer to that. And Vegas.
That's if they let me in. I might not get the invite now. It'll be you guys.
Dude, I was on the pregame calling them the doormat of the league 3 years ago. I was using my voice to call out my take and how bad it was.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Vegas on the power play 0 for 4. They had a 5-on-3 in the first. They didn't do anything with that. Montreal 1 for 3 in the power play. But interestingly, Biz, 3 of the 4 goals from Vegas came from defensemen. Was it Holden? I already rattled him.
Yeah, Holden came in for Hag. He scored the past 2 games now.
Yeah, Yeah, Holden, Martinez, and Theodore, and Yenmark got the other one. So, I mean, they didn't even have to rely on their big game shooters so far. I'm sure we're going to see them in the next game. But
and here's the thing, Ari, excuse me, because I don't want to forget this is, no Petrie, no chance, right? You got to get the puck out. You got to be able to play in guys' faces, take away time.
They made
space.
it sound like Evans was going to be available soon too. They said they got great news on, and who was the other one too? I'm missing. There was 3 guys who were like seem like they're just about to be healthy, could potentially be available for game 2. So you just said it. Like you talk about the back end. I don't think they even have someone to match like Theodore's ability, let alone Petro's.
Well,
but if they don't
pressure,
have,
if
they don't got a guy for like Petrie to match one of them, it's
no time. I saw some icings by the D in Montreal. I saw some turnovers. And once
my
again,
prediction's not looking good.
The bowling ball, Alex Tuck is flying.
Yeah, he was a force out there once again. I mean, Price had a ton of highlight saves, but there was one goal, 2 of them. The first one he just lost. He looked the other side. But this it was either the third or fourth goal. He totally lost sight of the puck. Like that was pretty uncharacteristic.
Oh, that was the Holden goal. Yeah, he couldn't. It was just a wide open net for him.
Yeah. He missed the pass, and by the time it was already on Holden's stick, I think he was still looking the other way. So usually not a good sign.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, Marc-Andre was the player of the game here. Like I said, Montreal, if they get an early lead, like they've been doing all playoffs, they kind of sit on it. But because Fleury was in the zone nice and early, kept them off the board. Also, too, we were talking about our wages. I bet under 5.5. Vegas is up 4-1. They pull Price with 4 minutes left in the game. I basically was going to the ATM to get the dough out because there was no way I thought it was going to hold. But lo and behold, they missed about 3-4 shots at the empty net. Vegas didn't. Montreal couldn't score. Thanks again to Fleury, and then they ended up putting Price in with like 30 seconds left. So
I didn't give 2 shits about that game for the last couple minutes, and then you text the thread, and me and Pasha were on the couch going nuts. I think Fleury made at least a couple good quality scoring chance saves, and then they had about 3 or 4 on the empty net.
Yeah,
if I was a gambling man, that's kind of what would get my rocks going. You like to just make sure you're cashing out in the second period.
Yeah, ideally you don't want to have to sweat them out, but like what said, once it's over and you got it done, it's like you can just breathe a huge sigh of relief. But yeah, I basically wrote it off once I saw the pulling Price with 4 minutes left. I'm like, there's no way there's not going to be a goal in four minutes here, but. I don't know. It happened, so I had a horseshoe up my ass. Another
You've got a couple good gambling stories this podcast. Brought to you by Barstool Sports Book. Keep the change.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I got any picks for you when we talked about the U.S. Open this coming weekend. I don't know if you had any picks.
Yeah, I actually
on Father's Day.
I've played 2 rounds of golf. So that's nice, man. I'm so happy. So I haven't really been watching. I didn't see anything this weekend. I know I saw the end of the 4th round, but John Rahm lights up that course, Torrey Pines, and I don't think he can go till Wednesday because of the COVID thing that he dealt with at the Memorial. He's probably the favorite, actually, but that guy will probably be right there come Sunday. I'd be surprised. Golf, RA, I've told you, though, I never bet a tourney winner. Rarely do I bet a tourney winner because I like doing the daily matchups, picking guys just round one against each other. I don't know. I feel like it's so hard to pick an actual winner, but you seem to get on the board with just high odd guys who are kind of always in the mix.
I was going to hop in and ask you, what makes him so good at Torrey Pines? Just the way he hits the ball?
He's just super comfortable there. It's a really, really long course. I think it's playing like 7,700 yards. The fairways are tight, and he drives the ball super long and super straight. He's just got every aspect of the game. I mean, he's top 5 player in the world, maybe top 3, but he won his first PGA event there. He canned an eagle putt from 50 feet on the 72nd hole to win it. And he might have won there again. He's just had a lot of success. He's been in the hunt at this course. And so now with the U.S. Open there and everything playing even tougher, he's just a guy who feels comfortable out there. That's where Mickelson's from. I think is Mickelson from there, like San Diego, or he lived there, and he's trying to get the Grand Slam. But him repeating after the PGA would be 1 in a billion.
When you say he eagled the final hole, did he kerplunk it like an iron from outside, or
it's a par 5? It's a par 5. It's the hole that Tiger Woods made the putt on to get into the playoff to beat Rocco Mediate when he had his broken leg. It's like the putt, like the famous putt.
Which sucked because in this major, if you go to overtime or what do you call it?
Playoff. It's an 18-hole playoff the next day.
That would blow.
No, dude, that's like. So they got rid of it. I don't know if it's into effect now being gone, but at some point they've already said that that's going to be gone. And I loved it. I was like, yes, there goes my Monday. Just get to watch these guys go to battle.
Well, not for Tiger. He's got to play 18 on a torn ACL.
Tiger's knee. And then Tiger was down on the 18th hole in that, I think. And that went to a playoff. They ended up playing like the 19th hole or 20th hole. Tiger won.
So they don't just keep adding on days and make them.
Tied again. Round 2 of the playoff will be Tuesday, June 25th. No, so how did we lead to the playoff talk? Oh, the course and where he got the eagle to win Rahm. It was a par 5. It's that hole, and he was long and 2, and he just putted the thing. Took forever to go in, dropped in, and then the guys behind him had to birdie, and they didn't, but he ended up winning.
Wow.
Yeah, Rahm is the chalk 10-1, but I'm looking at the field, man, and this is another one of these events where it looks like more than half the field is 100-1 or more. A lot of 250-1s. He's the Canadian, right? Yeah,
I get to play
80-1. I mean,
he's a machine. Throw some money on him, all right. He's a machine.
Yeah, I'm gonna sprinkle the infield, so to speak. But 125-1. There's just I don't know. There's even some of the big name guys. I mean, Spieth 20-1. Let's see, Patrick Reed 28-1. Bryson
Finau
28-1. So I mean, there's some. I mean, for the guys who everyone likes, there's some decent prices even.
What's Xander Schauffele? That's the guy I'd probably chuck some money on.
18-1.
Yeah, throw some money on him. All right.
Who's that? Is that the guy who was in contention the last time? The blonde hair.
No, that's Zalatoris. This Schauffele, he's young. Schauffele's finished, I think, second in every single major, and he hasn't won a major, and he's one of the best players in the world, and he's from San Diego, or he lives out there, and he's just somebody that's very due.
Xander, what a name
18-1 is not cool. Too bad.
Xander.
It's so hard. Cool. There's just so much talent. It's crazy of the amount of players out there in playing golf and trying to make it is nuts.
My boy Garrick Higo, however you say his name, 66-1 this week.
Don't bet him to win this week. All right.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win 2 in a row. Another thing that popped up during the game, Matthew Barnaby calling out Sean Avery for a little rough and rowdy action. That come out of nowhere, huh?
Mentioning rough and rowdy, or just calling him out to fight?
He did a minute video, basically challenge, saying he wants to fight Avery and rough and rowdy. I don't know.
Do they know each other?
I would assume they do.
Yeah, I think they know each other. I think they crossed over maybe in.
Maybe Barnaby was.
Maybe because I know Barnaby played in Dallas at some point, and maybe they didn't cross over though.
I think Barnaby wasn't there all that long. But he mentioned, he actually mentioned, some. One of the comments Avery made yesterday, he gets suspended for. He referenced that in his video too. So I don't know
if Avery fought and did all the lead up video to promote a fight, there would be a lot of eyes.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Lot. I would imagine he's not interested in doing that though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
No,
unless he was just kind of money angry and pissed off at a bunch of people, and he wanted. I wonder if he's got someone.
I wonder if he's got the thought of hey, can you guys just not repost that? I don't really care. I don't want to deal with this.
Oh yeah,
he's still got the Hollywood.
What if you told him how much money he could make? Might change his tune.
Well, so he just had a new show come out. He was in. He says he's in episode 6. I asked him if he wanted to come on and talk about it. I just texted with him yesterday. He said he'll come on.
Yeah, so he's the Tampa insider. He's a Tampa diehard, and so I'm combining.
I think he originally fell in love with
to lose.
I think he originally fell in love with Sergachev. That's the guy he was always pumping up.
So maybe he'd argue my Petro Theodore is better than Hedman Sergachev combinations.
Maybe we'll get him for next pod. What do you think, G? Next one?
I think that'd be great, especially if we can get him to commit to rough and rowdy too. That'd be even better.
Let's just get a legit number from the Barstool people. Hey, Avery, can he get $1 million for fighting? And if we can give him a number, he could be I'm in.
Yeah, definitely be some buys on that. Shea Theodore, another one of those guys from the Great Vegas giveaway, or thievery, I should say, from their draft. Remember, he's one of the guys. What was it? The Ducks said, "Don't
Anaheim.
take him, and we'll give you." I'm sorry, we'll give you him because we don't want you to take Clayton Stoner. I mean, obviously, a lot of teams had a lot of regrets over that draft, but probably one they might have wanted to hang on to out in Anaheim. But
just stick in the knife and twist it. All right.
Yeah.
Biz, what would be the number?
Kick an organization when they're down. But they ended up having a few, right? Because I think who else did they lose on the back end? Montour?
Not to Vegas.
No, but I think they had to make a decision on a couple of guys from the back end.
Well, they sent Vatson into Jersey, and then they got Henrique back. I mean, that's just another defense.
You know what it was? I think it was they ended up protecting Montour maybe instead of Theodore as well.
Oh, okay.
There might have been some crossover there. Or maybe I just completely made that up and nobody calls me out on Twitter about it.
No, never. Nobody ever calls us out.
Biz,
Habs in 5.
What's the number that you need to fight at Rough and Rowdy? If they were like, hey, this is what you're getting paid, this number would make you say yes right away.
What perks your ears up?
I don't know. I there's also a part of me that was is like, God, dude, I'm 36 years old. Should I be fighting in a Rough and Rowdy?
That's me. You can get into my body. You can sleep in my undies one night, and you can feel how I feel when it comes to fighting and as an adult. But money.
Part of it that would be fun is the aspect of getting back and in game shape and the whole training aspect of it. And but finding an opponent that I genuinely hate.
Would you have to hate him? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't really have any animosity towards anyone enough to want to get in the ring with them. Yeah.
That's a good point.
You wanted enough to train and make some dough, but once it comes to the
I said
fight,
I'd go toe to toe with some ad reads. I think that would be more entertaining. Honestly, 5 rounds.
And we should get some Amazon bots and then have them be reciting the ad read, and you have to repeat it, but they can just sucker you at any point when you fuck up.
Say antioxidants, Paul.
Maybe I can get into the wrestling side of it because I like the creating a persona. Oh man, you know who they were? I saw a video of recently. RA, and you probably might know a bit more about him. Is Roddy Piper? Oh
yeah, the documentary on him recently.
Oh yeah, I'm watching those right now.
Was the movie the wrestler based on Roddy Piper?
No, I don't think it was based on any particular wrestler. I think it was just based based on every wrestler basically from that era who went through hell for the whole fucking sport. But no, it wasn't based on Roddy Piper.
Okay. I'm also great heel. I'm also kind of obsessed with the guy who played the wrestler in the movie.
Mickey.
Well, that's who I was just going to ask about, Biz. How do you get out of my head, guy?
Oh no, wait.
Wow.
So one of the most self-destructive people as far as his career went is it's actually wild to hear in more recent interviews, but yet he still kind of carries that tone where he doesn't really care. If he doesn't like you, he's going to tell you to fuck off.
So my whole thing is I don't know anything about Mickey Rourke.
He was a stud.
I would love to see a documentary. I would love to see a documentary on him. And like you just said, I Google image him. I'm like, this guy was a stallion. And then he gets that role as the wrestler. And at the time, everyone's talking about Mickey Rourke comeback. So I didn't know who that was, but I knew what the movie was about. And then you see this guy, you're like, that's the guy I saw those pictures of. Like, what was his role throughout his career in terms of how everything? Did he get fucked over? Did he have drug issues?
No, I think he was his own worst enemy. Now, going back to how he started, RA, you'll probably know more. He went on an absolute tear with his first three to five movies.
Yeah,
that were like boom, boom, boom.
Out of the gate, I mean, Dinah was a huge smash back in '82. Then Rumblefish, the Pope of Greenwich Village with Eric Roberts. I mean, that was one that really put him on the map. Year of the Dragon, a Chinatown Mafia movie. Great gangster drama. It's probably unheralded. People probably don't know about it. Year of the Dragon, if you can find it, check it out by all means. But yeah, he was the next big thing with Wit and Biz. Angel Heart's another one. Like, he was going to be the star.
He was like Leo at that time, the way his trajectory was on.
Dude. Yeah, exactly, Biz. He was the next big thing, and then, the drugs, the ego, bad career decisions, and within a few years, he was making shit. He basically, I would say within 5 years,
he was kind of
hire
blackballed because he told enough important people to go shove it up their ass.
That's what happened. It was
yeah,
telling people to fuck off, RA, and then it was like, did he ever get arrested and stuff? Was he in like New York City crowd partying? What was that whole story?
He was getting Botox and facial reconstruction. It went all these weird places.
Yeah,
so
basically.
He did a great job in that movie, dude.
And I think he got ripped off for the Oscar, too. I mean, he was absolutely phphenomenal. I'm going to double-check my work, but I'm pretty sure he lost the best actor to Sean Penn.
I feel that he couldn't have be put in a perfect role, and it's kind of very similar to maybe like how you could summarize his career, too, as an actor, and it's what propelled him back up. And I don't know how much he's done since, but, I mean – yeah, I'll watch clips on YouTube about like some of the interviews he's done. Go watch some of his interviews with like Letterman or whoever. He does not skip a beat. He does not sugarcoat anything, and it's quite refreshing.
This article is the star that should have been. Like, it's just interesting reading through this, looking at these pictures and looking at the pictures of him now. It's like, oh my God, how is this the same human? So much plastic surgery.
A lot of plastic surgery. But it almost suits him at this point. He's found the look to work with. He's I don't know, it's kind of like he still looks like a rock star.
Yeah, he looks weird. He just looks strange now because he's had so much work done. But
wasn't he an Iron Man? He was an Iron Man, right?
Yeah, he was in I think the second or third one. Yeah, because after the wrestler, that put him
still
back
kind
on
of looks like a full blown rock star too.
Iron Man 2, he was in. Yeah,
kind of gives me that Axl Rose vibe.
A little bit, but he was incredible in the wrestling. I just looked. Yeah, Year of the Dragon, 1985. It was basically set in New York, Chinatown. It was about Chinatown mob and stuff. Real good shit. It was very violent. It's like I said, an underrated gangster movie. You can rent it on Amazon or whatever. But if you're looking for an old school gangster flick, check it out. Mickey Rourke, Year of the Dragon. But any other final notes you wanted to add about
maybe
the game
just a little tummy stick action? Grinelli hasn't been feeling great, guys. He's been traveling like crazy, editing these podcasts late during the playoffs. We moved to 2 weeks, so it was twice the amount of work last week. He's lugging all the gear around from Long Island and involving himself in the streams. Stick taps for Grinelli. He's got another late one. Show him some love on social media tomorrow. He helps grow the YouTube channel. He does it all, folks. And also a big thank you to Sean as well, our new videographer who is helping quite a bit in Boston. So these are the guys behind the scenes who make the engine run. They make the engine run.
And, there's one way you can show the love, and that's buy the bathing suits. The Spittin Chiclets bathing suits finally are coming. They drop Friday in the Barstool Sports store. Women's bathing suits too.
I would love some of those bathing suits. I would love some of our gear sent to me. I need some more gear. What was the other thing that you just mentioned?
For all the spicy fellas out there, we got the Bo Rat Mankinis coming, the Pink Whitney Mankinis. Could you imagine seeing Whit in one of those things?
Oh, fuck, dude.
Hey, you probably have just as much chest hair as Sacha Baron Cohen.
Legit. I haven't shaved anything in so long. I'm just a giant bush. I got to say thanks to Grinelli, yes, Sean, and thanks to me for just having an awesome episode. None of you guys ever say thanks to me, so I'll say thanks to myself.
Whit, thank you for everything, pal.
You're welcome, bud.
Thank you for being you and keeping me honest.
Same to you.
Hey, Habs in 5.
All right, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll catch you later.